Good morning, everyone. Hi. How are we doing today? How are we feeling? It's good to see you. Hey, Jay. Hey, Lauren. Hi. Uh, Hello, everyone. Guess I'm Salad's now following.
Uh, I think the first thing that we need to do,
Mm.
um, is we need to get the intros out of the way because they have a bingo board about how bad we are at that. So I I think we should start by having our wonderful guests introduce themselves. I think that's the way professionals do
Mhm.
it.
Uh, yeah, B. Dave Walters. Hello. I say words about things. I can be found all over the internet, wherever fine streaming content is sold. I am the writer of Dungeons and Dragons: Dark and Wish, the official comic for D&D. I'm the DM of the stream for Dark and Wish. I play Baron Victor Temple on Vampire the Masquerade: LA by Night, in a metric ton of other streaming content, in an increasingly number of well-used gifts. So there you go. That's where you might recognize my face.
Apparently, we
Usually
have
people
to.
ask me this, but I have to ask you, when do you sleep, sir?
You know, I'll let you know when I figure it out.
That's the right answer.
Just yeah, no. Just every once in a while, I stop moving for a couple of hours, and then I just like come back to and keep doing things. Yes. So my schedule is slightly less insane than it was last year, but at one point I was running 30 to 35 games a month in addition to all the streaming, in addition to everything else in life. So that
Guy.
was yeah, that was a grind. That was I do not recommend that. But yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
who just took this channel full time. Oh.
Yep. Yep. I know that feel. Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Anita. This is my channel. You can find me here most times, or on Noir's channel where we do Lonely Throne, which is, or you can also find me on Kobold Press now for South into the Southlands, because that's another game that I'm in. That's wonderful. Uh,
Yep.
you know that they're gonna totally like rip into us if we don't actually introduce ourselves as well, because that was the
I
problem
thought
last time.
I thought you just introduced yourself.
I know, but you have to do it now too.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm Noir. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as the Noir Enigma. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok as Noir Enigma. I GM the Cobalt Presses Into the Southlands game. I GM a mask game right here on Critical Misses, and I GM a game on my channel called Lonely Thrones in a campaign setting that I've been working on for 20 years.
It's a long haul, but yeah.
You should probably write it down at some point.
Hey, started from the bottom. Now we're
Yeah,
here.
there you go, right?
Yeah,
Ugh.
it definitely is a slog when you're like I just took this channel full time, so we've got shows every week. Monday we do a rerun recap of all the shows that we've had throughout the week. It is a long haul like coming in through here. This is my first full week in.
There you go.
We'll see how I feel like 4 weeks in. But
Hey, welcome to Going Pro.
I know, right?
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a great segue into my first question for you, which is how did you know, like, when did you know, like, yeah, I want to pursue my passion for TTRPG as a career? Because I just personally took that leap last year and it was terrifying. So I kind of want to hear your origin story.
It's true. Yeah, I was hit by lightning standing next to some chemicals, and
If
my father
only.
my father was a god, and there we were. I'm here.
So
Yeah.
clearly you're DC.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's one of my favorite quotes about that. By the way, is uh, Marvel Comics is gods pretending to be. Well, no, it's DC Comics is gods pretending to be humans, and Marvel Comics are humans pretending to be gods.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
And it's so true though. Like, so the Trinity doesn't make sense. They're too good. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Superman, but the Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman, they can solve almost all problems.
Between the three of them, yeah. That's it's. I mean, I'll come back in a moment to what you actually asked me. That was one of the brilliance of the Justice League animated series in particular. If like you're interested in storytelling and like especially like big groups, pay very close attention to the Justice League animated series. How it's true, Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman kind of have it all nailed down. You add in Martian Manhunter, they can do literally anything. And they still had ways for Flash and Hawkgirl to be like relevant and include something in the story and like actually be like vital points of contribution. Point of reference, the Flash is actually the most powerful superhero. The mother grabbing Flash.
Oh, absolutely. The episode of the Justice League where he almost went into the Speed Force for the first time and it took the entire Justice League to pull him out, that still gets me. Like, it's such a good scene.
Oh yeah. Well, after he just saved the world by beating Luthor and Brainiac by himself. Yeah. Yeah. Mother grabbing Flash, y'all. So when I decided to go pro after being hit by lightning next to a set of chemicals, which is the Flash's origin story for anybody that didn't know that.
I just imagine lightning hitting you next to a bunch of player handbooks.
Exactly. Except like, but on purpose though. Like I opened the window and I'm sort of standing next to him. Like, I'm angry.
Who's got time to read all these rules?
Yeah, it would be terrible if lightning were to hit right now. I'm not looking lightning. For me, I think it was a little different for me because I was lucky to be there at the relative infancy of all of this. I think Geek and Sundry was a year old when I walked in the door for the first time. So I wanted to be a writer the whole time, and I was a gamer the whole time. But I can't necessarily say I expressly aspired to be like a streamer and content creator at first because I didn't know it was possible. I mean, the first time somebody called me a professional DM, I was like, no. Well, shit, yeah. You know, like, literally that was my reaction. But I can speak to what it takes to just go to make the transition into the creative life. And believe it or not, by and large, I don't recommend that people just quit your day job and jump right in because it takes a while. It takes a while to make any money. Then it takes an even longer while to make real money. And quite frankly, a lot of people never make it to the real money place. But for most people, an extra $1,000, an extra $1,500 a month, like that's life changing, you know?
Yeah.
So it is excellent side money and on occasion, great full-time money. For me, I was, I'll tell you the whole story because we got time here.
Heck
So
yeah.
I've known Jason Charles Miller since I first came to LA. He's the first person I met in LA. He's very proud of that because I actually met him in Arkansas before I came to LA. And I met Damien Poitier on the set of the first movie that I did when I got here. And then I introduced the two of them along the way because, you know, your bros meet each other. And I was still working full time in an office in those days because my actual discipline is marketing. Like business and marketing is what I do. Like gaming and stuff is what I did for fun. So I'd hooked up the two of them and they started doing Foreververse on Geek and Sundry, the game stream back then. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little grimy about that, really. That I'm like, man, y'all only know each other.
Y'all up.
Yeah, exactly. Like nobody
Y'all couldn't give a brother a phone call.
Nobody even asked. I'm just like, oh, okay, great, cool. You know, so little, you know, low grade hostility in the back of my mind. But I just told myself, I was like, you know, it's fine. I wouldn't have had the time off work. I couldn't have done it anyway. Okay, you know, but it's still, I put that in my heart box though. So fast forward to early 2017. Yeah. This is early 2017 because like time is becoming a blur now. It was in March. Damien hit me up on a Wednesday and he's like, I got an idea for a show called Ask Your Black Geek Friend and I want to shoot the pilot. And I'm like, yep, let's do it. And we shot the pilot on Saturday and Geek and Sundry said they wanted it that Monday, but the show didn't actually start till August, even though they said yes in March. We didn't go up till August, and we were doing that for a while, and I did the Charity 20 stream that December. Was the first time I'd ever played on stream, because they knew me as like the talk guy when we played Vampire. This is the first time I met Jason Carl. And then in 2018, that was when some gigs started coming along.
Right.
Now, during this time, the company I was at downsized, and they laid off the entire marketing department in a single day. Yeah. So while the streaming and things were going up, my day job went away, and I actually was still looking for another day job for a time while still trying to grind to make that happen. Right. And I just looked up one day and I was like, well, I kind of don't I mean, I kind of just do this now, I guess, you know. And then it's like the pendulum swung. Instead of being like full-time marketing, part-time content creation, I was full-time content creation, part-time marketing. And I still on occasion do like contract work, or I consult. Like I mean, I just helped a pretty major brand with a crowdfunding campaign, for instance. But yeah, that was how it went for me. But I do firmly advise not letting go of one branch till you grab a hold of the next one. Yeah. And I will tell you this: if you that day job that you may not enjoy, just look at it like corporate sponsorship. It's corporate sponsorship. They're providing the capital for you to build up the thing that you really love until it can support you.
Absolutely. You know, especially with the streaming stuff, I feel like if you do at any point want that to be a thing, then you should really put yourself in the grind for a little bit, just to see if you can live up to that commitment and handle that kind of lifestyle, because it is a little wild.
Yeah, you had a stream every single day of the week a couple months ago, and it was like, when do you sleep? You said
Me?
Thursday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And like, even Noir was saying like Thursdays I might sleep was the gag on his outros. Thursdays I might sleep, but Thursdays he wasn't sleeping. Thursdays he was actually like doing even more work to build this whole thing up to get to this point.
Well, that's what ends up happening when I had, it was Wednesdays were the day that I kept clear, but Wednesday ended up being the busiest day because that was the day when every other thing didn't get done, all got dumped on Wednesday. So my day off was the busiest day. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Know all about it. But you know, I think like anything. Well, let me tell y'all something. When people are like, do something you love and you will never work a day in your life, that is a lie. That was said by somebody that wasn't doing the thing they love. I mean, that is just not true. It's still work, but I mean, but it's fun. It's hard fun. You know, and you have to find a way to enjoy that process. You have to enjoy coming up the mountain. You have to find a way to enjoy the bumps and bruises that will come along the way. Because as long as you are consistently trying to do your best. Because I'll tell y'all something. When I set foot in Geek and Sundry the very first time, when I entered the building, I had a very specific plan of what I was going to do and what I wanted to accomplish. And I did all of it. And the foundation of that is I was like, I'm going to make sure everybody in this place knows that I am reliable. I'll always be on time. I will always be easy to work with, and I will always give my absolute best every time. And if I do those three things, I will never have to worry about booking gigs. And that has been true. You know, people know that when I show up to do my thing, I'm going to do my thing, which is surprisingly rare in this business where there's a certain amount of vacillation with some people that's like, you never quite know.
You might get them on a hot streak. You might get
you might not though. Mm-hmm.
You might get the dud.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, be aware from the beginning of your brand, because your brand is just your reputation. That's all that is. And what are you going to be known for? When people see your face on the stream, what does that mean is about to happen? When people know they call you for a gig, what does that mean going to happen? And be very cognizant of that from the very beginning.
Yeah. Oh no, that's all like some real good advice, especially the learning to love Well, my grandma used to call it eating the dirt. She was like, if you learn to eat the dirt, then nobody can mess with you. Like it's just if you learn to love the hustle part of it, then yeah. Well, I really do appreciate that. And also maintaining your brand. Just don't be a dickhead. Like you just
Don't. I do, because people, y'all, I cannot tell you how many times this exact thing happened. Hey, we need a new camera person. Oh, cool. Hire Mark. Mark? Yeah. Had a bad experience with Mark. Really? Yeah. What about Julie? Julie's dope. Cool, get Julie. That's it.
Yeah.
No resumes, no auditions, no checking reels. Literally that.
exactly.
So, yeah. Mm-hmm.
We have a bit of a running gag on this show, which is you really need two things in order to be a decent person: empathy and the ability to shut the fuck up. Like
Shutting the fuck up is a free action, y'all. Like I don't know, it's just whenever you want, you could just
you can just cut it down.
Yeah.
Bloop. Like I mean, there comes to be a level of maturity there that you need to have empathy, like knowing when you are a detriment to the room is key. Like if what I'm doing is not providing any fun or any advancement for what we're doing, then chances are maybe I should just reel it back.
Yeah, maybe don't. Yeah, always ask yourself.
Have you considered not?
Yeah, maybe don't. What if I didn't? Yeah.
It's asking yourself what you're contributing to the room and asking yourself what you're contributing to the space. And hopefully it's something good and something positive that helps build the experience. Otherwise, what are you even doing it for?
Well, yeah, or even at least ask, how can I contribute to this space? Because I also have, friends that might be introverted or might be dealing with anxiety, and they'll get in their head and they're like, oh, I'm not contributing anything. I'm like, no. That's not, come back, my child, come back. Here's a hug. Okay. And then, just try.
Oh, that's my mood.
Consciously be advancing things. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's I see you out there, my introverts. I love all y'all. Yeah, it's I see it you too, Nina.
It's the introvert with imposter syndrome is the worst part of that Venn diagram.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm not gonna put anybody on blast, but there are some very well-known people in this space that still feel just like that.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, and I'll be like, but look at how you've done this, and it doesn't register with them. I myself do not have that problem. I don't know.
I was just about to ask.
Nah. Fuck that. I've worked too hard for all this to feel like an imposter. I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. I'm not even supposed to be here. This whole thing is improbable. It's just like, nah. To quote your grandmama, I've eaten too much dirt to feel like an imposter. Hell no. I know what I've been through. That's why I don't feel like an imposter. But that's just me, though.
What was that?
I feel like a lot of people could use a little bit more of that attitude.
I turned my imposter syndrome into brilliant con person syndrome. Where it's, do I deserve to be here? No. Am I gonna ride this train until they find out that I don't deserve to be here? Fuck yes.
Exactly. Like master of disguise. Yes, perfect. Yeah.
Perfect illusion.
Mm-hmm. You fooled us all. It was them the entire time.
That's been one of the most common things that guests on this show have actually talked about, is them having imposter syndrome. And you're right, like, some people that you look at and you're like, there's absolutely no way you can't think that you're killing it, and they don't. And it's just it really this might be a little tasteless, but it really makes you look at some of the other content creators that are out there that are like so very what's the word that I'm looking for, sure of themselves, like in their branding. It's just like I don't understand it.
Well, it's that it's Dunning-Kruger, that the Dunning-Kruger effect, that in general, the less talented and qualified you are, the more talented and qualified you believe you are. So much so, well, I mean, look around at the current political state.
Exactly.
So much so, I was worried at one point that I'm like, they're all so full of doubt, and I'm not, though. Am I secretly bad at this? And then I was like, no, a full Principal Skinner moment. I'm like, no, it's the children that are wrong. Yeah, it's yeah, it's. I think the idea is that it is so weird and improbable that we could make careers, or even not, if not careers, just make money. It's something that not only is expressly fun, but that most of us were probably openly mocked for at points in our lives for even being into. Mm-hmm. But to me, that's why I'm like, haha, bitches. It's something so simple as people that gave you a hard time for liking things like the Clone Wars. Now they watch the Mandalorian and they're mad lost. I'm like, maybe you should have listened. Then. Yeah.
Damn, I feel attacked on that one.
He has not watched Clone Wars. I've seen all of it.
Yo. It's like Clone Wars was objectively wonderful, and now that they're doing all of this other stuff from it,
it's required reading now.
Yeah.
Even Rebels too.
Yeah. Rebels so good. I grabbed the list online. There's a list online where you can watch Clone Wars in chronological order, and the whole story flows a lot better when you skip around through seasons, but after a certain point, it actually just goes. But getting to that point's a little bit hairy, but before that,
what's funny? I watched Clone Wars when it was airing live, and the time hops didn't bother me at all. I don't know.
It flows better when you actually watch it in the chronological order. But I watched the whole thing season 1 to season, what are we, 6?
7 was the Netflix one.
Yeah.
That was a little the last one. I wanted the last season to be better than it was, but it's also spun off Ahsoka, spun off the Bad Batch, so it's still important.
So excited for the Ahsoka show.
I
am so excited for that. I remember when Ahsoka first came out and people were giving Star Wars shit about it. I swear, Star Wars has the most flip-floppy, toxic fans. I mean, we have a subsection of fans that are incredibly toxic.
Well, there is a certain aspect of fandom that manifests very strongly in Star Wars, but in a lot of them, that it's you prove your love by being the harshest critic. Like, I love this so much, I must hate everything about it. Like no one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans, Yeah. The thing about Ahsoka, so when she first appeared in the Clone Wars animated movie, I hated her too, because she's like an insufferable brat in the movie.
Okay.
So when you watch the first one, you will be like, what? But over the course of the show, her arc and her trajectory, and spoiler alert, she's what Anakin was supposed to be.
Yes.
She's Anakin's Padawan, so everything that is wrong with him is wrong with her. But she makes the right choices over the course of the story. There you go, kids. If you didn't notice, the narrative significance of Ahsoka Tano, that's it. So she starts awful, and they make some choices in the movie that I will not repeat, but even they know they're wrong and fix over the course of the time. So that's why the character went from being like, please stab me in the eye with a screwdriver, to a beloved fan favorite, Yeah.
The chat goes, she doesn't go after the younglings. You know what? Call me a bad.
What do we do? I laughed so hard in the theater.
Okay, I was just about to be like, call me a bad person if you want to, but that scene where he turns on his lightsaber and the kid's like,
laugh so hard.
I laugh every time.
And people looked at me like, you monster. And I'm like, y'all knew what this was. Y'all know what happened to Anakin Skywalker. He wasn't coming in there to save them kids.
Kids got dunked on.
Yep. 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 But now we know Grogu was in there somewhere. Somebody was smuggling him out. So
Yep.
there you go. Yeah. It's that's the significance of Ahsoka. Like all the way to in The Rise of Skywalker. Which I have a lot of feelings about the new trilogy, but I didn't hate Rise of Skywalker, but when Rey, I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but honestly, if you haven't seen it by now, maybe don't.
Save yourself the trouble.
When Ahsoka hears the Jedi, there's or when Rey hears the Jedi, Ahsoka's voice is in that calling to her, and one of the Jedi from Rebels' voice is in it too.
Yeah,
let me tell you something. I heard that in the theater. It was like
that was the only part of the movie that got a reaction out of me, was like that.
How do we feel about The Last Jedi?
That is the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yes!
I hate that stupid fucking movie. I hate Rian Johnson. Fuck that movie.
God damn it.
Yeah.
No. I'm gonna.
Here's the thing. By the way, don't try and come for me on my wall on Twitter, but my DMs are open. I will rinse you. I don't care. I've been saying this since that movie came out. But here's the problem with The Last Jedi. It is a serviceable science fiction film on an island. It is a horrific Star Wars movie.
Thank you.
Because this idea to set out and deconstruct the idea of heroism, to deconstruct the idea of of individual significance, that's not this story. That's not Star Wars. That's not what Star Wars is about. So yeah, and then we're gonna spend half the movie on a casino planet because reasons. And I'm like, and Luke Skywalker betrayed literally everything that he is in 40 years of filmmaking and built up because reasons. Yeah, no.
But it was only for a second though. If you don't get that shit the fuck out my face.
I could go in on this. I'm just gonna. I'll leave it where it lies.
Again, I have feelings, and then the Rise of Skywalker is JJ rushed and tried to make 2 movies in 2 hours, where he was like, let me make my episode 8 and also my episode 9, and it's like the Cliff's Notes of a movie, which where it's like, here's the bullet points of what I would have liked to do.
Yeah, Palpatine is back. He came back in Fortnite. Y'all saw it.
Yeah, because reasons. Yeah, and I love Palpatine. He's literally one of my favorite characters from media. Especially, he's got some fantastic moments in Clone Wars. So much so, all this stuff with Bo-Katan and the Darksaber and all that, like Palpatine is intimately involved in all that in the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. But it was just very rushed and didn't make sense. It's like, and that wasn't just on Rian Johnson. Don't get me wrong, largely on Rian Johnson, but they set out to make a trilogy with no overarching theme. Yeah. And that would be difficult for anybody to be like, hey, here, this dude made a movie and we don't know where he was going with it, but do something dope. Good luck. And I will just say this one final thing, because I will rant the rest of the day about that stupid fucking movie. And you can clip me and tag him in it. I don't care.
I've never felt so validated.
I loved it personally, but that's just me.
Oh,
well, let me just tell you expressly, Anita, I can prove conclusively the movie was bad.
Yes.
Because if it had been good, Disney would have let him do more.
That's true.
The fact that Disney...
That's fair.
They only care about green. So, yeah.
Hey, Knives Out was great, though. Let's face that.
Knives Out was dope. Knives Out was dope.
I love it.
Knives Out was
dope. It's amazing what he can do when he's not fucking up Star Wars.
Looking forward to the next one. Hey, if he set Knives Out on a Star Destroyer, it would have been the best Star Wars movie ever. Just like, you're like, the clone troopers. I'm confused about what took place here. You know? Yeah.
Okay, we need to get Rian Johnson back. We need to,
a Star Wars murder mystery.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Star Wars murder mystery. Yes,
they'll never let him touch the franchise again, unfortunately.
I don't think so. Yeah, and I pointed that out, that his trilogy's not gonna happen, and some of his fanboys on my wall are like, "You don't know that." I'm like, didn't mention it on the investor call. Think they might have.
Put a bullet in that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean Weiss and Benoff, or however you say their names, they lost theirs too for crashing Game of Thrones.
Yeah, they. I don't know. Okay, I'm not gonna rant.
Might as well.
This is
Go ahead on this. It's like I'm at church. I'm taking time. Come on.
I don't know how you ride on pure excellence for like 4 seasons and you fuck up so hard. There's some things that fundamentally, look, I know the books aren't written and they had to kind of do their own thing, but even as there's so many things not what. Oh, okay.
Well,
I'm not gonna
do it. Do it.
No,
Give in.
Okay.
Give in to your hate.
That is true. It makes you powerful. Yeah. No, go ahead. Yeah.
If you wanted Daenerys to go the Mad Queen route, which is fine, that's fine. You can't have her spin on a dime and just, you know what? They're ringing the bells, but fuck it. Like, that's not how you do. We've grown to love her as like this peace-bringing queen. You know, she was trying to be something other than her nature, which is like she is born of the Mad King. So if she's going to become the Mad Queen, show us some signs of it. Like show her slip every now and then. Just give us a reason for her to get pushed. There was no push. She was just like, I feel like going hard in the paint today. Like that was it.
Today's the day. Yeah.
Today's the day I go full Hitler. Like it's just like no.
You know, here's the thing about all right, so couple things. George R.R. Martin's dead to me.
Oh, what did he do?
Dead to me. I'll never read another word that man writes. He hasn't finished the story. I mean, as a content creator, you have a moral obligation to do the best that you can do to complete the journey that people have chosen to take with you. It is a partnership. It's like, I'm going to take you on a trip. You're going to come on this trip with me. I'm going to do my best to make it meaningful and impactful, knowing in advance nothing's going to work for everybody. You know, nothing's going to work for everybody, but you do your best to come right over the plate. That 5th book was in 2012 and books 4 and 5 were garbage. So I'm like, it's been almost a decade and he's never going to finish those books. Mark my words. He will never finish that series. It might get done posthumously. He will not, because he can't finish it. He's written himself into a corner. And by his own admission, he doesn't outline. He just like sits down at the keyboard and just like derps out words and then gets like 800 pages in and is like, oh, this doesn't make sense. I have to start over. Y'all, that would have to happen to me exactly once. Exactly once. So he doesn't remember plot points he had in his mind in fucking 1992 when he was writing Game of Thrones. He doesn't remember where he was going with it. He can't bring it to a satisfying conclusion. Now, also, for those of you that are thinking, oh, but the books are going to fix that terrible ending of the show. No, that's his ending. That's his ending. That was part of the terms of his deal with HBO, is he had to tell them how the story ends, even if he hasn't written it. What happened in the show is what is going to happen in the books that are never going to come out. Oh yeah, you're welcome. I'm here to take that from you. The dark side of the force is a pathway to many abilities some would consider to be unnatural. So
that was my one hope.
No, I'm here to take that from you. No. This is not Rogue One. We are not delivering hope. Yeah. So the place where the show messed up was the cliff notes of those things. Everything that happened had at least been vaguely alluded to, but they slow boat, rush. They really should have done 1 to 2 more full seasons. They were in such a hurry to try to get on to do the next thing. They literally shot the golden goose. Because the fact that they fumbled Game of Thrones is what lost them Star Wars and went from everything being like, this is one of the greatest cinematic achievements of all time, to that stupid fucking final season of Game of Thrones. Like, if they just taken the time to get there, it would have all worked. They needed 1 to 2 full, 20-hour seasons, not this like 6-hour-ish movie-ish thing. Just Jamie being like, I'm finally gonna get with Brienne, and then leave that night. You know, also.
Oh my
also,
god! And then have Brienne of Tarth just crying like she's in a Taylor Swift video. Like I can't.
I mean, also shout out to my homie Gwendolyn Christie, who just can't get a good role, man. They do Phasma dirty, they do Brienne dirty. I'm like,
Phasma's character design is so badass that they're gonna have to
they
fucking
wasted that character.
They're gonna have to pull a Boba. They're gonna have to pull a Boba Fett.
well, hang on. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you something here. First, I'm gonna show you the picture. And then I'm gonna say out loud what it is to for the people here. But I want your authentic reaction here.
I'm so
hang on.
fucking mad.
Yeah, dude.
I just had hope,
Comments
like,
from chat. Book 4 was like eating salt. And book 5 was over 1,000 pages of filler with one meaningful plot event.
Especially when the first 3 were so good. Have you guys read the books, by the way?
No.
Don't.
No, I read the first one. It was good.
Don't. Because none of it because here's the other thing that made me so mad about that, and this is why George R.R. Martin died for me. There's all this stuff in the books. There's so much spinning wheels, like so little things happen in the books. And then when they put out the show, they were like, oh, we're cutting all these things. Like the books have easily twice as many characters and 3 times as many subplots, easily.
Right.
And they started cutting them all away from the show. And I'm like, well, wait a second. That means none of that shit matters. So if none of it matters, why have I wasted years of my life reading thousands of pages of stuff that has ultimately no bearing whatsoever on the narrative? And then also you can't get it done. And then he was talking about in the last book, he's like, we're introducing new characters and settings. I'm like, no, don't.
You got enough.
Like, let me give you an idea. All right, spoiler here, y'all. I apologize. Spoiler for the 5th book of Game of Thrones, which you should not read anyway, or Song of Ice and Fire for the purists. Don't read it because it's doesn't matter. But they introduce a new prince from Dorne in the 5th book. I think it might be in the 4th book. I'm pretty sure it's in the 5th book. A new prince from Dorne, a viewpoint character, who gets fucking killed in the book. So I'm like, wait a minute, why? Why did I care? Why did you even bring this kid in to be like, here's his meaningful journey. That's over now. Womp womp. And I'm like,
I mean, he's from Dorne, so that means he's got a tinge of brown in him, so you knew he was dead.
yo, don't even. And then the sand snakes, done dirty. Just every okay, now wait, back to Phasma though, because I found the thing. I'm gonna drop this in the chat for you guys to see.
All right,
and then I will say out loud to what it is for you beautiful people that are watching from your mobile devices.
And also we can link it in the chat too.
Yeah, there you go. All right, can you see that, Anita? I just sent it to.
Oh, I don't think I'm in on that DM.
Well, here, hang on. All right. So,
okay, I see. Oh, that's badass.
So, what's that she's got there? Recognize that?
Yo, is that the Beskar?
Captain Phasma has a Beskar spear. She does. Somebody else pointed that out. Somebody else. That wasn't my discovery, but people were like, yo, did you notice this? Phasma has a Beskar spear.
What?
So they might already be setting up the fact that she's going to appear in these Mandalorian stories.
Here, I'll put
or
it
at least somewhere in the yeah. She does. Now, I guess the at the end of the day, the real question is how rare are Beskar spears really? You know, like I mean, it's not the only one, so maybe she's got it some other way. But I'm thinking Mando's spear is gonna find its way to Phasma somehow. That's what I'm thinking is gonna happen. So maybe Gwendolyn Christie will get to be about that life at some point. Is why I bring it up.
You know, I mean, okay, this is cheap, but an easy way to make somebody seem like a badass is to have them take out a badass.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe all this hype on Mando is just to see him get worked by Phasma. Which, you know what?
I mean,
it's an old wrestling trick,
I was
but
about
it's
to say,
an
I
old
spent a-
wrestling trick because it works.
I spent a lot of time watching wrestling. Literally, as I was about to say, you have them take out the badass. They're
Yep.
badass. You've sold them instantly.
If somebody flexes the Undertaker,
They need to have good old JR call that. Oh my God!
My
oh
God!
my God! in heaven, she's killed him. As God is
She's
my
broken
witness,
Mando in
he's
half.
broken in half.
That's a human body.
That's That's it. They just need to get JR to call
Phasma
that.
out of nowhere.
Just stop it. You son of a bitch. Why? Tell me why. Yeah. You ever want to laugh? Watch the Jim Ross calls the Brazil versus Germany World Cup match.
Oh no.
The one where Germany won 7-1 against Brazil in Brazil. That is yeah.
But God.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh my God.
Mhm.
I love JR with a passion.
Good old
Oh
JR.
yeah, man. Good old JR. Yep. It's have that in my head, Phasma versus Mando with JR now.
Phasma off the top rope.
Ah! All the stormtroopers. Phasma just stands up. You know? Yeah. Mhm.
Oh
So,
God.
There's still hope. There's still hope for Gwen Christie.
We can save Star Wars. We can do it. I mean, much love to Dave Filoni though.
Mhm.
That dude. Dave Filoni. I listened to that, like the gallery where all of the directors of season 1 of The Mandalorian sit around and talk about Star Wars,
Ugh.
and you can tell that this is a dude that loves the lore.
Mhm.
And that respects the hell out of George Lucas. And I feel like we've all, like, I'm not going to say we all, but I feel like the fan base has taken so many shots at George Lucas that you kind of forget that he did make this brilliant thing.
That none of this would have happened without him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always like, what? Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people will still like, he can't write for shit. Like, I don't like saying, like, okay, his dialogue is a bit wooden, but like, just imagining a world with no Jedi or no Sith, it's a little less special. So like, hearing Dave Filoni like really break down what George intended
Mhm.
with the prequels rather than what he was able to do, like, I respected that.
Well, that's the thing. Is
See-
Dave Filoni learned Star Wars from Lucas.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
He's Lucas's Padawan.
100%. And when last they met, he was the student. Now he is the master.
And he's
Yeah.
killing it.
Well, what the genius of the Clone Wars too is it fleshed out the prequel era in the sense that 1, 2, and 3 are better movies because of the things that happen in the Clone Wars, and everybody should watch them just because of that. And now it's because some people are like, oh, they're about to remove the new movies from canon. I'm like, nah, they won't. They spent a lot of money, they made a lot of money, they sold a lot of toys. Like, that shit's not going anywhere. But
Right.
I think they are going to take these new shows and do exactly what they did with the Clone Wars and flesh out the context around them to make them more fulfilling overall somehow. I don't know. Like, again, apology earmuffs if these are Mandalorians. Well, this isn't a spoiler, it's a theory. I mean, I think the whole cloning thing that Moff Gideon is after, that's Snoke. That's what they're trying to do. Like, this is with his project is going to arrive at Snoke in, whatever Thrawn is doing is going to arrive
I am so excited for Thrawn. I
Ah,
am so excited for Thrawn.
He's so great in Rebels, though. He's so great
good
in Rebels. Yeah.
It's like everything I
which-
wanted Thrawn to be is in Rebels.
I heard, and I also don't know that this is true, that Lars Mikkelsen had actually signed to do it. I think that's a rumor, though. I think it's a
that
rumor.
is a rumor, but that would be sick.
But he's a fantastic Thrawn in Rebels. Yeah.
The guy that I want for it can't be because he's already in Star Wars now, which is Mads Mikkelsen.
Mm-hmm. Well, Lars is his brother. He looks like him and sounds like him.
Oh,
and then
okay.
that he did the voice of Thrawn in Rebels.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
I have this thing where Mads always gets casted as somebody he shouldn't be in every universe that he's in. Like the character he was in Doctor Strange, he should not have been. Mads Mikkelsen should have been Doctor Doom, and I'll fight anybody who disagrees.
He would have been a great Doom.
He is my number one choice for Doom, and now it can't happen.
He would have been a great Doom, but now his brother can do it. Lars can do it. Yeah. Wait. You know, are you saying that you didn't enjoy the Josh Trank Doctor Doom? You're saying that didn't work for you?
No.
You want to know something? Never even watched that movie. Never even watched it.
Me neither.
I did.
Saw the first trailer, and I was like, I can save myself 2 hours here.
I saw it, and I tried.
It's it's not that difficult.
It's the Rian Johnson thing again. It's a decent movie if there's no Fantastic Four on it at all. Yeah. If that thing wasn't supposed to be Doctor Doom, it might have been something dope.
I think people just don't understand that nobody's interested in your bold reimagining of a beloved classic. Like, we're just not, and I think that's why the MCU works. Is the MCU, by and large, there's been some deviations, but by and large, those movies were made by people that love those characters. And you can tell that Jon Favreau loves Iron Man. You can tell, what's your boy's name? The directed Guardians of the Galaxy.
God.
James Gunn.
Yes,
it's clear James Gunn loved Guardians of the Galaxy. You can tell, versus somebody that just signs on for a gig and is like, I'm gonna make a statement, like now, controversial opinion. I liked Man of Steel. I didn't hate Batman versus Superman because I'm a fan of Zack Snyder. But
I love Man of Steel, unironically. I feel like Man of Steel 2 could have corrected a lot of the things wrong with Man of Steel 1, and the things wrong in Man of Steel 1 aren't so wrong that it disrespects Superman.
I agree, but the challenge is in what I watched an interview with his wife, who's also one of the producers. I think she's Catherine Snyder. Well, anyway, she was saying people don't want to see their heroes deconstructed, and I'm like, no, we don't, like at all. Like I'm not interested in a world where Superman wakes up and doesn't want to be Superman. Where he's like, more truth, justice in the American way. Like
we
that's
just do
not,
truth and justice, but skip the American way part.
I just that's not what I want. In Batman committing just like unmitigated mass murder, like Batman killing people left and right, and I'm like
right.
I'm like, Batman's not the Punisher. Like that's not. He doesn't do that. No. What's happening? And it's the same thing in terms of a Rush story. Like the Dark Knight Returns only works because 30 years have passed. Batman has had 30 years to plan to fight Superman. He knows him very well. Superman doesn't really want to hurt his friend Bruce, not really, and tells him as much. So much so you should read the graphic novel if you haven't, folks. But I mean, Batman or Superman comes to him and he's like, they're going to send me after you, right? Like, please stop. I don't want to do this, Bruce. Please stop. And so Bruce has even more time to prepare. And also Superman gets hit in the face by a fucking nuclear bomb a couple days before. Yeah. So Superman shows up on the ropes to fight Batman, who's been planning for this for 30 years.
And doesn't he have Green Arrow helping him too? It's not just one-on-one.
Yeah, it's so that is why Batman is able to take him in contextually,
And he doesn't even win, and Superman knows he doesn't win, but it's like, oh, my buddy got one on me. Okay, like I can't stand when motherfuckers think that Batman can beat Superman in a fight. I hate that. Are you out of your mind?
Batman wins because Batman wins. He doesn't necessarily win a fist fight against Superman.
He's never won in canon. That's the thing.
Or if
Superman,
or if it's either a draw or he cheats.
I mean, he's
It's-
Batman.
Yeah.
It's not like Superman has never gotten to the point where he was just like, okay, I'm gonna deal with Bruce. Like
That's okay. All right. So many layers, many layers to this of why of why Batman and Superman sit atop two very distinct and important pedestals. Superman and Captain America serve the exact same function in the narrative. They're the superlative. They're the one that does the right thing when the right thing is difficult. And they always do the right thing when the right thing is difficult at great personal cost to themselves. The challenge with telling a good Superman story, and this was and why I liked Man of Steel, is most Superman stories are, if only everybody had been raised white in Kansas, the world would be a better place. We just need a little more Kansas. Because Superman's functionally God. He can do what he wants. That's why the Justice League story or the Justice Lord's story arc is so scary. That when Superman's like, you know what? I'm in charge. Everybody's like, okay. Because what are you going to do? He's Superman.
Right.
Even though the DC animated movie, The Death and Return of Superman, the first one was done very poorly because they tried to do too much in one movie. There's a line in it that I really enjoy. That Superman, he's up on Gotham's version of the Empire State Building, and he's just standing there. And the military is rolling in, literally like tanks and soldiers and stuff. And one of the soldiers looks at the other one and goes, "We can't kill Superman." And he's like, "I know. We can't kill Superman." And he's just standing there, and they start shooting and stuff, and it's like nothing because he's Superman.
You can't kill Superman.
You can't kill Superman. Yeah. But that is why people they say those characters are corny or whatever, but that's why they're necessary, because they're not dull and gray and muted. That's why in Infinity War, or Endgame rather, you have that last moment when Captain America's the only one left.
I love that moment with my entire heart.
When he stands up and cinches the shield and it's broken and there's the whole army and he just looks around and he just stands there still going to fight to his last breath. That's Captain America. And I had a moment. I can't talk about it too much.
When people ask me what's the point of playing a lawful good type character, that scene comes to mind. That you don't get that from this is no disrespect to any other character archetype, but you don't get a moment like that with the sneaky rogue. You don't get a moment like that with the angry barbarian. You don't get something like that with the clever wizard. You get something like that with the dude that's just always trying to do the right thing, even when he's outmatched.
I will hold the line to the very end. Yep. Now, what? Oh yes, please. No, say so. I'm
Tom and Chad actually brought up a good point. Captain America doesn't change to fit the world. He makes the world change.
Exactly. He's, again, the superlative. He's what you're supposed to look to for inspiration. And his arc through those movies, even as Nomad, still made sense because he was becoming disillusioned with the system, but wasn't becoming disillusioned with himself. And it was everybody else had to realize, oh, you're right, we have lost something, Captain America, and then are back there. Now, Batman, however, is... Darth Vader is my favorite character in all of media. Batman is my second favorite character in all of media because the measure of heroism is sacrifice. What do you give up? Same thing what we're just saying with Captain America. What is he willing to sacrifice? Literally everything. You know, what do you give up in the defense of your fellow human beings or sentience or whatever, the greater good? Batman, you know, it's not his fault his parents got killed. He's not like Spider-Man. Like Uncle Ben's on Peter, you know, so he's guilty about that. It's not Bruce's fault he got killed. He doesn't have superpowers. He doesn't have to do this, but he goes out and risks himself night after night after night to try and help his fellow human beings. No one sacrifices more than Batman. That is why he is such a compelling superhero. And even though he has his own problems and his own
I was just about to be
different authors take it different directions, but I mean when you take away something so simple from him as he won't kill people because that's his foundational trauma, if you're like, well, but that's just outdated, and then he starts murking people, well, now he's just the Punisher, and the Punisher is boring.
He's just the Punisher with a trust fund.
Exactly. Like, I'm older than 14. I need more than that. You know, now shout out to the Netflix show. They gave Frank Castle some depth. But I mean, for the most part, just being like, I get mad and shoot people. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then what? You know,
that doesn't make you too terribly different than a lot of actual Americans.
Now, exactly. Now, I will say that was why the No Man's Land scene in Wonder Woman worked, when she's got the shield and everything is shooting her and she's getting like pushed back, but she won't budge because it's the right thing to do. And then when she goes out and sets the example of bravery, only then can the other soldiers start to rally. That her friends come over first, then all the soldiers push because they needed her to go out and do the right thing. Which is funny because I was watching an interview with Patty Jenkins where she was saying Warner Brothers they were just adamant about cutting that scene. They were like, it doesn't make any sense. And she's like, no, trust me, it will. Leave it in, you know? And that is one of the most powerful moments of Diana literally planting herself.
The No Man's Land scene. And even the name of the scene is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Like,
yep.
So good. So good. So now I have to ask you, how do you feel about Wonder Woman 1984?
I didn't hate it. It's all right.
Same.
It's just all right. Yeah. But it's just all right.
It's all right. It's all right. I feel like it could have been better. I feel like I like what it was.
Yeah.
It was not Wonder Woman 1 though. Wonder Woman 1 had one problem in it, if you ask me, and that was the CGI fight at the end. If they cut that out, it was a 10 out of 10 movie.
Patty didn't want that. She didn't want that. She wanted it to be a more subtle ending when he's like, I'm not the god of war, I'm the god of truth. I didn't do this, you did. Sucks, you know, and kind of very much end on that note. And they were like, no, it's a superhero movie. She's got to have a big fight. I didn't hate the Ares fight. It did feel a little bolted on because it was. But
it just feels like DC always needs some biggest fuck CGI fight that you can barely make out.
I mean,
yeah.
Marvel was there for a while, you know. Remember the end of Ang Lee's Incredible Hulk movie?
Oh my God! Can we not talk about that movie?
Let's take the Hulk, but give him emotion. And
I'm like, he's got an emotion, but only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a scene of the Hulk in that movie just jumping and like looking tranquil, and it brings out all the worst parts of being a fan of me. Like every time I see that, I'm like, how dare he look so calm and happy? The goddamn Hulk.
Yeah, he's supposed
everything should make you mad.
He's supposed to have one setting, yeah. Because when you come down, you're done being the Hulk. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, again, it was it's another one of those things that for its time, I didn't hate it. But it definitely has some problems. I will say King Kong took that fight with the Tyrannosaurus from Hulk's fight with the dogs almost verbatim. The Hulk and the dogs, it's the same fight.
Those fucking poodles.
It's one poodle, a poodle, okay, a Rottweiler, and like a fucking
I don't know why, but in my mind I imagine that they're all poodles.
No, it's a poodle, a Rottweiler, and some other like stupid improbable breed though. It is like a Portuguese waterhound or something.
I mean, what's really strange is if you go back and watch movies like that, you'll ask, like, if you go back and you watch that Hulk and then you watch like the Ben Affleck Daredevil, you'll ask yourself like, how did anybody watch these? And for a while, that's all we got.
Like, what, you didn't like the fight between Elektra and Daredevil in the playground?
Let's pretend that didn't happen, please.
Colin Farrell is the best part of that movie, though.
Yes,
he really is.
He hits that dude with the knife. He look bullseye. You know?
It's like he knew what he was. He knew what he was. And he knew what he was going for in that film.
His gator trench coat is still my favorite thing.
It's G status. It is. It's G status. Yeah, I agree. I don't blame him for that. And it's so funny that Ben Affleck is like, he played Daredevil because he never thought he'd play Batman. Yeah. I get it. Well, that was the same reason Pierce Brosnan did Remington Steele, because he never thought he'd get to be James Bond.
Yeah, you know, so like the road to success, doubt yourself, kids.
Let me tell you this though. In Justice League, another movie I didn't hate, and I am looking forward to the Snyder cut of, when they're finally there in like you know, East Europeistan, wherever they were, and when the
Russia,
when the plane is coming
Russia
down.
light.
And the Batmobile comes out of the back of the plane, and they hit the 1992 Tim Burton dun 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 dun. I could die right here. I could die right here.
Okay, I'll give you that. That moment does kick ass.
Just leave me. You know,
Justice League had flashes of being the movie that I wanted it to be. The Superman versus everybody fight. The second Flash starts going, and Superman's eyes
he turns
like,
and he can still see him. I was like oh my bro. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, if you go back and you watch that scene, the move that Superman hits the Flash with is just like the laziest shoulder check, but it still sends them flying because they're moving 1,000 miles per hour.
Yeah, especially that split second of panic on Flash's face when he realizes he can see him. Yep.
My man tried to hit the brakes like, no.
Yep. That was a fantastic moment. Yeah, fantastic moment. Mm-hmm.
And then the fucking another. I took that scene is like my favorite because that is when I feel like it was the movie I wanted it to be that it was in its entire runtime. But like Superman headbutting Diana and Diana going, the fuck, and headbutting come right back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Superman having to be a cheap ass and flying up a little bit and then giving her the last one.
Yep.
Which to me now makes no sense because apparently that whole time Diana could actually fly. So like somebody's got some explaining to do.
Yeah.
Don't think about it.
She got a concussion right then. That's why she couldn't not at the moment. Yeah, not at the second. Yeah, that whole sequence right there was dope. And like I said, again, I'm just looking to I think Warner Brothers' mistake they make more than anything is that they lack commitment, you know, like they don't just like go in on a thing and they vacillate to the last second, and then their movies end up being part one thing and part another. Like Suicide Squad. The reason why Suicide Squad is so choppy and uneven is the first cut of Suicide Squad is like Aliens. Like it's really a Suicide Squad. Like I mean, they go into a meat grinder and most of them get killed. And then Batman versus Superman came out and everybody was like, "Oh, it's too dark." And Guardians of the Galaxy was so popular and they were like, "Oh, okay, make it a comedy." And then they shot a whole different edit of it where it is like Guardians of the Galaxy style comedy, and they screened both, apparently got good notes on both, and they were like, "Cool, make this movie both." That's why it's so rough in the edit, because it really is two different movies. That's why Amanda Waller introduces the Suicide Squad twice, because those are from the two different films that they just had to kind of like stitch together.
It feels like WB doesn't trust or understand the characters that they have, and like they don't hire people who love the project. They hire people whose style they like, you know, like Zack Snyder to me is and I might catch some shit for this, he's a good director when he's directing movies he did not write. That is when Zack Snyder to me is at his best. Like the zombie movie that James Gunn wrote that he directed is still one of my favorites to this day. Like 300, dope movie. Love his movie. Visuals. Love the story that was told. He didn't tell it.
Yeah.
I love Sin City. But when you give him the writer's pen, that's when we start to get problems, because he's not strong there. Sucker Punch is a beautiful film. I have no idea what the fuck it's about. I've watched it a few times. I still don't know what it's about.
Shout out to Sucker Punch. Shout out to Sucker Punch. When they're in the B-52 with the dragon chasing them, I was like, I'm here for this movie. Like, I'm here for this
I don't know
movie.
what the fuck is going
Let's
on.
turn
But
my
it was-
brain off and just eat some popcorn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's literally a
Stylistic
popcorn
piece
movie.
of media.
Literally. Yeah. It
Oh no, you're right. It was Rodriguez that did Sin City. My bad.
Yeah. I was about to say I didn't think he did Sin City, but I wasn't about to try and like, well, actually, you on your own show.
Oh no, shh, please. I'm wrong half
Chat
the time.
lives to dumb that more. So
Yeah, I think the other thing is you can't make a moment epic. You can only make a moment and let the people decide that it's epic. You know,
Yeah.
the moment you're like, here's the slow motion and the lightning crashes and everyone pauses and looks up at you, you know, like you can't try for it.
yeah,
Right.
it's like
You
those
can
great
just-
moments, and to bring it back to TTRPGs, it's those great moments in games where you don't script anything, and then the magic moments just happen, right?
It's almost like 67 minutes in. You're trying to like get us back on track here. But,
It's
Not
never
never.
gonna happen. No,
hashtag production. Although this is all relevant to heroism and storytelling, so it has all
Yes.
been relevant.
That's
Yes.
what I'm
Absolutely
saying.
is.
My last point on this, and then I'll get to actual question that I had for you, which is I think you make a wonderful point in the sense that you can't create epic moments. You can make moments that look epic, but you can't emulate a on your left.
Mm-mm.
Like that moment, the crackling on your left, that is a moment that is earned through storytelling.
Mhm.
And I think that is the goal for every storyteller, because you can't invest in the MCU and see that and not feel something.
When the hammer flies into Captain America's hand, and like, if you've seen the footage of like test audiences, like they spent 10 years setting that up, that
Yeah.
moment, and when Cap catches the hammer, people lost their fucking minds. And that's the
Oh.
thing. Everybody, like, they like to talk trash about Steve Rogers, but then something like that happens and you're 8 years old again, you know? And that's the crazy thing about that character. That on the one hand, there's no way you could debut Captain America today. You couldn't make that character now. And yet he's still so fundamental and necessary. Like, you
Right.
still have to have him though.
I
Yeah.
didn't think he was gonna work. I truly, like, when they were deciding to do the Avengers thing, I was certain there's no way you could do Captain America and like sell it to China. Like, you like, how the fuck do you do that? And
Let me tell you something.
tell a good story. That's how you do it.
Winter Soldier and Civil War are still my two favorite MCU movies.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Don't agree
Yep.
with you on Last Jedi, but I agree with you on that.
It's all right. You're halfway there.
Thank you. I still feel like Winter Soldier was Marvel at their best. Like, everything about that movie hit. Like,
Yeah.
everything.
When
I was terrified of the Winter Soldier. When that sound played,
Yep.
oh, somebody was getting burnt.
when Cap yeeted the shield at him and he turned around and caught it, just looked at him, I was like,
Okay. And I think that's also a good point with Marvel movies versus the DC movies. Is Valdrinth just said in chat, is Winter Soldier is a spy movie disguised as a superhero film, and that's why it works so well. Every single Marvel movie has like an own individualistic theme. Like,
Yep.
you've got Guardians of the Galaxy was just like a buddy space romp,
yep.
and like they know what they are, and they embrace it. But DC doesn't
Yep.
quite know what it is, if that makes sense. Like,
I feel like DC with like most of their properties is where Marvel was with Thor 1 and 2. Like, they kind of have an idea of what they wanted Thor to be, but it wasn't fleshed out.
It also DC is far more precious about their portrayals of their characters and what you can and can't do, at least with the big three. You know, they need to be relatively unchanging and relatively perfect. Whereas I think Marvel is more willing to alter with things, but not always to a positive sense. Like when they took Mary Jane away from Peter, when he gave up his love for Mary Jane to save Aunt May, who's been 90 for 30 years, you know.
Oh, one more day.
Yeah, one more day, I think. And you know, and their argument was, well, you know, fans don't want to see married Spider-Man. They want to see happy-go-lucky young Spider-Man. I'm like, yeah, we do. I learned what love was because of Mary Jane and Peter. What are you talking about? He's the nerd that dates the Broadway supermodel actress, and she actually really loves him. What do you mean we don't want that? What?
What do you mean you don't want to see these two like struggle through a grind together and grow up together as human beings and as characters, right? You don't want to see Mary Jane like fail to book role after role after role and do that struggle while Spider-Man Peter deals with the tabloids telling him that he's a criminal and a menace.
Mm-hmm.
Damn menace.
And still having to sell pictures to that guy to pay the rent. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
Of course that's what I want. Yeah, it's
I would advise everybody, if you have Disney Plus, to check out Marvel 616. It's a documentary of all things Marvel. They have a episode devoted to Dan Slott, my favorite Spider-Man writer. So you get to see more about the guy who decided that was a good idea.
I just
Pretty much.
Nah.
It kind of unintentionally turned into a hit piece.
It's difficult when you take on something that's not yours. Like when I wrote A Darkened Wish, I knew, because at first I wanted to do a completely new place in the Forgotten Realms, and I had to like moor it a little tighter. But I was like, I don't want to tell a story in Waterdeep or Baldur's Gate or Neverwinter, because all that territory is so well worn. And I'm like, and I can't destroy Baldur's Gate. Like, you won't let me, you know. Or even if I do, I got to put it back by the time the story's over, you know. Or
you don't get to leave your mark.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know, with 50 years of storytelling, you like pick a place on a map and you're like, nothing's happened there. And then you got some dude who's like, well, actually, in 1983, in the supplement, The Rise of the Goblin Forces, we found, you know, and I'm like, y'all. So I
that sound exactly like that.
I said it in the Moonshay Isles because I was like, I need a place that is known and adjacent, but people don't usually spend too much time here. And that was the sole rationale for why it's in Moonshay, was that, because it's to be able to do something significant in the midst of constraints, you know, because that comic is like my love letter to D&D. That's why I anchored so much of it in history and things that had happened in the past in the Forgotten Realms.
And
that was
Tess
why,
Fowler
because
knocked that art like right out of the park.
Shout out to my homie Tess. It's true.
Look, I can't even imagine what that's like, man. That's the dream. Like that's really freaking cool. That's really freaking cool.
It was dope. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, it was dope. But, yeah, not gonna lie, it was dope.
So I mean, what's that process like? Do you make the story first, send it off to the artist, or do you give them like an outline? They draw based on the outline, and then you fill in the dialogue. Like, how does that? How is the sausage made for comics?
Different people work different ways.
Okay.
But the script definitely comes first. And different people, some people work like closer or farther away with their artists. Like I'll tell you take you even step back from this, how this story came to pass, was a few years back, which again, I reject linear time and all the other lies of the before times. But
Time is soup, it's true.
Yeah, this would have been 2018, I guess. This might have even been 2017 by this point. I got tasked to write a comic book adaptation of a novel for a friend of mine. In fact, my Electropunk co-creator, Jeff Wamister, because that's the graphic novel we're working on now, is Electropunk. He knew a dude who needed his book adapted into a comic book. And so I was doing that for him. And I was looking for artists, and I Twitter knew Tess. And so I hit her up and I was like, so I got this story and this is what it's about. And, you know, people pointed me in your direction, want to know if you were available. And she read the script and she's like, I really like the script, but it's not my style at all. She's like, if it turns out at the end that like the main bad guy is like a werewolf or something, like I'm in. Otherwise, I'm not really a girl for this, but thank you. And I was like, cool, dope, no problem. So fast forward about a year, she hits me up out of nowhere and she's like, so I got a D&D comic with IDW that I'm the artist for it. I need a writer. I want to know if you're interested. And I literally said, just like the Flash, stop right there. I'm in. Literally. I was like, let's do it. We threw some ideas around right then, and A Darkened Wish actually started as a piece of World of Warcraft fan fiction. So I had a lot of the characters and situations in my mind. So, hey, don't feel bad about fan art and fan fiction, kids. It can pay off. I won't tell you which ones I already had, because hopefully you can't tell the ones that have existed in my mind for years and the ones that are brand new, because hopefully they came across all accurately. And we kind of had the idea nailed down by the first call. So she went back to IDW wanting to pick me as the writer. They had some other writers in mind, so I did what I do best and I cheated. And I went to WotC because I knew a bunch of people over at WotC, and I was like, hey, so I'm in talks for this comic. I want to do it, and I think you guys want me to do it too, because I will do a stream that's tie-in and we'll make it a full transmedia thing. So it won't be just a comic, it won't be just a stream. We can do something really new and different. So I sold WotC on the back end. And, you know, IDW may or may not have picked me. That's for the ages. But when it became clear that's what mom and dad wanted, you know, sort of was a done deal. So Tess and I worked together very closely on it. I guess in most cases, to answer your question, the writer writes the script and then the script goes to the artist. And the writer does what they do and the artist do what they do. And they may or may not communicate at all. Oh. Tess and I communicated a lot. I was like, what do you want? What do you want to draw? What kind of things do you like? She was like, I like big set pieces and big battles. She's like, I like bazaars. She's like, I like shopping scenes. So in the first episode where there's that whole one-page splash of Helene and Mintarn. Yeah. And she's just like looking and like everything's just happening around her. Like that was specific shout out to Tess.
Easter eggs all through it. Like
Tess is in that frame. Her husband's in it
frame.
too.
Their cat's in that frame.
Their cat's in the frame.
Passed away, but like,
Yep, Lauren's in it. A few people we know are in that frame, but that was all gifts to her. So I tried to weave in as much as what I knew she liked into the story as well.
That's dope.
Yeah,
that's so dope.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It was a great thing to get to do. Yep.
All right, so we got one audience questions to go in chat before we're gonna take our first break of around 10 minutes.
Only one question, y'all. I realized I elucidate thoroughly, but
they were going off like they were chiming in like on occasion.
more, because let me tell you this in terms of like framing questions that you might want to ask. And this is not me tooting my own horn because it's true. I have been in movies, I've been in TV, I've written movies, I've written TV, I've had comics published. So it is unusual to have one person that has had success in so many different arenas. So if I'm here to share.
I intend to get to all the nitty gritty.
Just saying, I'll tell you anything.
Guess I'm Salad also said like you answered everything.
I'm very thorough.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to the nitty gritty just because there's a wealth of experience and knowledge there that I feel like everybody can benefit from here. But the question
I would legit when you said that, I went full Palpatine in my mind. Use my power, I beg you. You know, sorry.
And like this. I'm gonna mention this and then we'll come back to it after Alia's question. But that's one of the things that I am so excited about with Black streamers in particular, and the Black people in this space, is that we have seen a lot of us helping each other out, and just really say, yo, I'm not gonna do it for you, but I'm going to show you all the ways that I did it. And whoever wants that knowledge, come get it. Like
we got the uniform, by the way. There you go.
Yeah, there it is. Hey.
Yep.
Like and that's something that I'm big on, making sure that you leave the door open behind you. But between you, Cypher, Brandon, there's just so many names out there that's just like, yo, here's how. So just really appreciate that.
Tell you anything. Yep.
But back to Alias' question. What's working on We're Alive Frontier like?
Horrifying. Stress inducing. I love Ivan dearly. Sorry. So let me tell you what happened with that story there.
Ivan,
first of all,
like such a good GM.
First of all, I don't even like zombies. I hate zombies.
Thank you.
It's just, I hate zombies. And I got hit up to do the We're Alive Frontier, which is a zombie horror survival show. We're Alive is a podcast series created by Casey Wayland. And we were going to do a stream that was a tie-in to that. And this was very shortly after. So I did that first vampire game in December 2017. I'd done another smaller stream, but We're Alive was the first like major thing that I got hit up to do. And I was an alternate. I was the second alternate of 3. Because what they said was the game was supposed to just be this absolute meat grinder where people were going to get killed left and right, and it was just going to be just a horror show. And so I knew there wasn't a real chance that I was going to be even on the show at all, but I decided to show up from the beginning, episode 1, to be there so I'd know everything that happened, so I'd be totally up to speed if I got pulled in. So the first person dies in episode 3. I won't spoil it. Season 1 is up on YouTube. Season 2 is not, unfortunately. Hopefully it'll come up at some point.
It's still on Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel.
Is it there? Because I know it was with Alpha, so I don't know if it's available to subscribe. I hope it is. That's good to know.
I believe so.
Well, that's good. I thought it died with Alpha. First person died, episode 3. So we shot all of that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 3 days we shot all that. So the person that died at the end of day 1, or maybe the top of day 2, maybe the top of Saturday. And so then I was all like ready. I was like, okay, I'm next in line. I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. No. They definitely died Friday, because then I was there all day Saturday. Oh, we even shot on Monday for that one. We shot on Monday for that one. It was 4 days. Yeah, it was 4 days. Because they were like, even though the episodes are about an hour, they were like 3 to 4 hours of filming to get it down to the 1 hour that you saw for that show. So I was like super stoked, thinking I was going to get a chance. And it's just like the jam just kind of increasingly went out of my donut as the weekend wore on. And I was like, it's less and less likely that I'm going to get here, because past a certain point, they're not going to introduce a new character if there's not much time left in the show.
Yeah.
And then I'm enjoying the show. I know all these people. They're my friends. I don't want any of them to die and get bumped off the show. That was a weird emotional thing too, where you were like, I love you, man, but I hope you get bitten by a zombie, because I want I want a shot at this. And when I went home Sunday night, if you'd ask me, I went home bummed. I went home really bummed, because I was like, I'm not gonna get to do it at all. I was like, maybe if there's a second season, like, okay, well, whatever, and I was like not happy about it. That's what happened. Sunday, I had to be sequestered the whole time. I was about to say quarantine, but that word means something completely different now. They wanted me to not see the show. So if I came in, I wouldn't have like spoilers and things. So I wasn't with the cast. I wasn't with the crew. I was just kind of by myself the whole entire day. God. And it's a long day. Yeah, and then and then I went home bummed, and then I came in Monday morning, and they were like, "We're gonna get you in because 2 of the people aren't coming back for these episodes," and I didn't even know what had happened to them. So they got me ready and everything, and I ended up. And I was waiting the whole time, all in my costume and everything, and they still weren't calling me. And I still was like, there's only so much left. And I show up at the very end of episode 10, and I'm in all of 11, and I'm in all of 12. And again, y'all, I had a specific plan. I was like, I got to leave my mark on this thing where people remember me. And so when the opportunities to take my moments happened, I went for it. And something happens in the final episode of the season that is just absolutely bananas, like hole-in-one golf bananas. Like if it hadn't been caught on camera, I wouldn't have believed it myself. Bananas. I will just say, if you have seen it, I thought my death was imminent. I'll put it like that. I thought if I seemed scared, it was like because I thought I was about to die. Like I just got here and here's death. Okay, great. Yeah, and it worked out well. And then I was back for the second season. Now, here's the thing about this though, is how We're Alive directly influenced Vampire. Is we shot season 2 of We're Alive while we were in development for LA by Night. And so when I created Victor Temple, I expressly was like, I need to make not Chateau. I was like, I just played the rebel leader of a group of people that don't really listen to him, even though it's going to get us all killed. And he's really struggling to like try and hold everybody together across this oncoming, overwhelming force. So I'm going to do not that in Vampire. Then like 3 episodes in, I became Baron and became exactly fucking that. So, because then when the next character I had to make was Freely, my main character for D&D, I was like, no, really though, not that.
Just keep getting pigeonholed.
That's why it's nobody was making me do it. It's just me, and so
I know that exact feel.
So when I created Freely, I was like, I want to play somebody who's in my head. I'm like, I don't want to be the party face. I don't want to be the one that does all the talking. And I was like, what do you guys need? And they were like, we don't have a party face. We need someone to do the talking. And I was like, nope, not doing it. That is why Int is his dump stat. That's why he's the halfling of action. Because I was like, Freely doesn't strategize. He doesn't theorize. He's not playing the long game. He's like, that's a bad guy. Let's go fight. That is exact, because Freely, like, to the fact that he's a halfling is to separate him from those two is, and then as the wheel continued to turn, when I had to do Marseille for Pirates of Leviathan, I made not Freely, because Freely is this lovable little halfling. He's a hero. He's having a great time. I was like, then Marcy's gonna be this shadowy ganker, like literally a bugbear, one of the physically largest races possible, and going to be a terrible person because Freely's so sweet. So like they keep like it bouncing back and forth counterpoints. Yeah.
It is very interesting to hear the origin story of how you ended up making some of these characters, especially Baron, because again, I have a friend who loves Baron and is like
Victor,
D, my friend D here,
What's up, D?
who GMs a Vampire the Masquerade game on this channel, is actually heavily influenced by Baron. So it's very cool to
the character Jackson in our Vampire the Masquerade game, Under the Pale Cold Sun, is heavily influenced by Victor. Like,
good.
That is the archetype.
Me proud. Yeah, make me proud. Well, when I created Victor, I knew that we were going to be the faces of 5th edition for Vampire going forward, and I knew there was. That's how about that life I am. That is like right there.
It's just ready to go.
The only one that's right there. See, again, I got to be able to like represent for my people like immediately.
Nice.
I'm going to tell you something about that dice box here in a second. So I knew I wanted to play a Ventrue because that's my beloved Clan of Kings. In that previous game that I mentioned, I played a Gangrel, which that VOD is up, by the way. If you look for December 2017 Share D20, it's a vampire game. It's me, it's Jason. It's the first night I met Jason. Eric Campbell, Eliza Pearl, Amy Dolan. I'm trying to think who else was in that game. Heidi Cox, and it's gonna come to me in a minute. While we're on the break, I'm gonna think of this poor child's name. That's
why I never go through cast, because I'm the worst with names. It's just like I'm in it, like
yeah, you're like some other people. Like look it up. We're in there somewhere. They wanted me to play a Gangrel because I just played a Gangrel, and I'm like, no, I love Clan Ventrue. And I knew in my mind, if I'd played, I could play like the world's best and most successful Gangrel, and still always in the back of my mind, I would be thinking I should have done that. So I was like, I'm going to play a Ventrue. And, but it was important to me that Victor make his money not from crime, that he made his money because he was a businessman, right. that I could be a black male that was just good at stuff that didn't involve, drugs or sex or prostitution, or not that I have anything against those things. I wanted his money to all be legal and above board. Now, fast forward, he's committed a number of crimes, but he committed crime as a vampire and not a black businessman. Yeah. So I had two specific moments when I got this. I was the first person anywhere to have the new Ventrue logo. This is the first piece of swag that existed for it. And when I got it, we were going to a party that night. It was the Labyrinth of Jareth that year, and so I didn't have time to take it home, and I didn't want to leave it at Geek and Sundry, so I have it with me the entire time. So if you see pictures of me, I have like this death grip on this thing, or I have my hand behind me so you can't see what I've got in every single picture from that night. That's all, because literally I didn't put it down because I was so scared that something would happen to it. And when we finally got all confirmed and the cast was locked and I knew I was gonna get to play that character, there is a letter in the vampire book, in the Ventrue section. There's a letter to a young Ventrue, and it's basically about what it means to be a Ventrue and that you're one of us now. And the very last line in it is, "We'll be watching, make us proud." Y'all, I got so emotional reading that. And it's like, I get emotional now even talking about it. When I was like, I've done it. I did it. I became one of the Ventrue. I'm going to make you guys proud. So, yeah.
He was in chat and said that it's really easy inspiration to have you set the standard for the badass Ventrue, and it's like easy inspiration to have a badass black vampire running shit.
That's right. That's what I'm talking about.
I've got plenty more questions about VTM and more, but we're gonna go ahead and take that quick 10-15 minute breather. Everybody bio, everybody do what you need to, stretch, take a walk around the block.
Submit your questions. Load them up. I'll answer anything.
Sphinx, I saw that question. We will ask it in a moment. But yeah, we're going to go on a quick 10-minute break. And we'll see you in just a moment.
All right. Highlight the
And we're back.
Fuck Ryan Johnson.
Yeah!
Right off the cuff.
Feeling it. We're gonna need you to be on a couple more episodes.
Hey, Knives Out was bomb though. Knives Out was bomb.
Knives Out was okay. So
and it's part of the it's part of the Good for Her universe.
That is true. Okay, so before we get into the chat questions, there is a question that I'm gonna start asking all of our guests now. So I have a friend who is of the mindset that dice are forbidden candies and are meant to be crunched on. They call themselves the Crunch Crew, where they just chew on the forbidden candy. I am on team stop the crunch.
I know where those things have been. No. Mm-mm.
So are you with the crunchers or are you with Stop the Crunch?
Well, okay, wait, hang on a second. Let me clarify something. Are we being literal or figurative? Like, are you like literally dice in my mouth or rolling a lot at the table?
No, yeah, they crunch dice in mouth.
It looks
No.
like candy.
Yes.
But it isn't though.
It's true. It's not. I'm
it is-
Team
but
Crunch
it is-
responsibly. There are candy dice that are available
No.
for you to feed
Yeah,
this.
that's crunch. That's crunching dice when they're meant to be eaten.
Yeah, no, no. I am not an advocate of crunching metals or plastics of indeterminate providence. No, no thanks.
This is my favorite episode.
Yeah.
There's still time for me to fail you somewhere along the way here, but yeah.
All right, so it's been fun, everybody.
Yes, sir. We're gonna quitting while I'm ahead. I'm out. Yeah.
We
Follow
had
me
Brennan on the
Twitter.
show, and Brennan was like, I have eaten candy dice on stream, so I will have to be Team Crunch.
I mean, again, though, if they're meant to be,
eaten, that's
It's
one
crunch
thing.
responsibly.
No, it's don't put dice in your mouth.
Then because at some point you're gonna roll them again, and then your tray be all
Yeah.
gooey. Like, no, there's just no. There's I have a number of concerns. I have a number of concerns with
Thank
that as a
you.
life strategy. Yeah.
You heard it here first, peeps.
Alien wanted to say that thank you for answering that question about We're Alive, because it's still one of their favorite podcasts, and they've been waiting to see Frontier for a while, so they're super excited to hear about all of that.
Yeah. For like again, Frontiers on YouTube, definitely on Geek and Sundry. If season 2's up there, that'd be great. I didn't think it was. It may be. They may have added
Yeah.
since. Yeah. So yeah, season 2 was a whole thing. So yeah. Glad you enjoy it.
Yeah, the only reason that I believe that it should be on their Twitch channel is because I was lurking Sam
Delev?
Delev.
Yeah.
I was
Shout out to my
lurking
homie.
lurking their channel, and there's a show that they did on Geek and Sundry that was alpha only, but apparently now it's on the Twitch channel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I know all of Shield is also on their YouTube at least now too.
Well, Shield was always pure Geek and Sundry.
Yeah, that's true.
That was the difference there. But hopefully, I mean, hey, it's not making them any money sitting in the archives. So give the people what they want to see, man.
Yeah.
Bring it out there. Yeah, the We Are Live was bananas. The stuff we went through, and it's funny because, again, to tell you another story that happened. I didn't know that Ivan was involved in the publishing of the Outbreak Undead game. So when we were going through the pre-production and everything and learning the game and how, because it's an incredibly lethal system, because it's supposed to simulate life, the real world. Like where so many games you're like, I'm gonna jump over the table and do a cartwheel and shoot him in the head. But it's like, okay, but I mean, can you do that? Like you right now, like dude, do that, go do it right now. I'm gonna watch you do it.
Do a flip.
Yeah, do it. No, do it right now, and then come up and shoot a dude. Yeah, it's improbable. It's improbable.
Right.
And so that's what that system is calibrated towards. And we were going through it, and at one point I was like, why does anyone play this game? I said it to his face. I'm like, why does anybody do this? Like, it's Friday night, you and your homies are all getting together, you could do literally anything. Why would you do this? Fast forward, I will say I completely understand it though now, because that shit is so difficult. When you win, it feels so good. When you find a way, when you're like,
I still need to know what that hole-in-one victory that you had was, so I'm gonna look that up as soon as this
you should just watch it. I mean, theoretically, you could watch just episodes 11 and 12, but you should watch it because it's objectively a fantastic show. They did really great work, even when I wasn't on there. But I'm not gonna ruin it for you. But it's highly improbable.
That's been living in my brain ever since he said. I'm like, what do you do?
It's living in mine, and it was like 3 years ago. Yeah, so I get it. I get it.
To go into more Geek and Sundry content, I actually know you from Shield of Tomorrow and from Ask Your Black Geek Friend.
Hey.
One of the questions from chat was, could you go into character creation for Forkin Kunert?
Forkin Kunert, my boy. Okay, so
The sweet trill boy.
it's true. He's a sweet boy. He'd been multiple boys and girls. He'd been a lot of people. That was his 7th life.
Yeah.
So the character was created as, again, I looked at who was already on the show and what hadn't been done, and I like Trills because I always like Dax. I like the concept of the Dax symbiote. I don't think I came up with being a Trill first, and we hooked it into Sam's story second. I definitely knew I wanted to be a Trill. The name Forkin Kunert, especially from OG Geek and Sundry people, is there's Liz Forkin Kunert, who was one of the producers. So he's a shout out to her. That's why his name was Forkin Kunert, because she was producing the show. That was my character's name. Shout out to my homie. At one point, I did mention all the children that it had over the various incarnations. I have it all written out. I don't have it in front of me. It was Ace. My previous. No, I was the 8th incarnation because it had 7 others. If I think about it, it'll come back to me. Honestly, we'll be off this call and it'll all pop back into my mind because my notes are not nearby. All the kids and stuff had all been named after people from Geek and Sundry. Like all the children that I named were all Geek and Sundry people. And the way I came up with the characters, once I hit on the idea of being a Trill, was the reason why I know there were 7 is all of their names and all of their professions were based on Fate Stay Night, the anime, Unlimited Blade Works, if you know the anime. That they're all there's different types of people. There's like the archer character, the writer character. That's why Reed was one of my past lives. RIID was short for writer, and that had been the pilot. Arch was my archer who had been a gunner. That had been their job. And the idea was in their last incarnation, Arch was the door kicker, kicked in the door, and there was a bomb attached to it, and it got blown up and gotten killed, and the Trill had been damaged. And because my Trill was damaged and Sam's Trill was damaged, that was our method of connection. That I kind of like reintegrated some of the PTSD from the past and was able to help them do the same. But yeah, that's what it was. I wanted to do a Trill. I was super into Fate Stay Night and Limited Blade Works, and wanted to shout out to my homie Liz. And that's what had happened. Yeah.
So I love Trill. I love Trill.
Trill, keep it Trill. Yep. Yeah. It's that's a fun character, and that was a feather in my cap too, because that show is canonical to Star Trek, or at least it's official, content in a way, in its own little pocket.
Wait,
yeah.
What?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
The Sally Ride shows up in Discovery. Yes.
So I achieved my goal of being a Federation officer, which is why I gave one of my characters had been a captain of a ship, because I was like, also I'm going to write myself having been a captain, and my ship was the USS Marcus Aurelius, and I checked to make sure there wasn't one. So there was. That's
oh, that's so funny.
I got my pips.
That's so cool.
Yeah. Like, you do not know how, like, that show, we had a Star Trek Adventures campaign. It's still ongoing. I had to duck out because everything is this now. But that show inspired our game. And, like, yeah.
That's the best thing in the world, though. When we, like, things like fan art, campaigns, you saying your friend's D's character was inspired by Victor, don't embarrass me, D.
Oh no, like Jackson Page is like a penultimate badass, like
muzzle. But knowing that the stuff we do inspires somebody else to create something they're proud of, that's the highest compliment, honestly. That you did something that made me want to do something. That's the nicest thing anyone can say.
I've got to say, like, I imagine what's it like to be the face of VTM? Like when you think VTM, like you think your game. Like there's no other way around it.
Not gonna lie, it's fucking dope. I mean, if I could travel back in time to 1996 and was like, bro, just stick with it. Trust me, it's all gonna work out. You know, and also shout out to Jason Carl for making those choices. Because when he picked the cast of me, Sin, Alex, and Erica, he was quite conscious of the fact that we were going to be the faces of the game, and we were the faces he wanted it to have, as different kinds of people, and not just the same old, you know, neck beard type person that might have been synonymous with the brand in the past. So shout out to my homie Jason. It literally wouldn't have been possible without him.
I mean, and I feel like I got on the wave late, so I
There's no wrong time. Right on time. Right on time. Whenever you got on.
Well, like by the time that I really like got invested into watching actual plays and like getting back into TTRPGs, Geek and Sundry had, you know, I believe they're on hiatus now.
Already on the back nine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I don't feel like that hole has ever been filled.
No, it hasn't.
And I'm so like,
oh, sorry, go ahead. I interrupted you.
I was just gonna say it's a very strange thing talking to so many people that have experiences with Geek and Sundry, because it sounds like it doesn't sound like it was ground zero for so much creativity and so many things that outlasted itself, which I think is a sign of a successful group.
Yeah, it's I have a lot of opinions about that, because I was there from when it got as high as it was ever going to get to how things ended up, which it is what it is. But at one point there, like the closest thing I can tell you what it was like the freaking Happiness Hotel from the Muppets when they went, and it's like you come in and there's just people everywhere, and there's all these like colorful goofballs just like hanging out of windows and stuff. That's really what it was like.
Oh my goodness.
And it was really a lot of fun. And you're right, nothing has filled that void. And I thought something would have by now, to tell you the truth. And I mean, a tiny bit of that was the pandemic, but not really. It's just, I mean, because a lot of the same people are all still floating around. We all still work together, but it's just like that. Nobody's been able to bottle that lightning again, because, and a lot of that is indicative of the streaming business in general. This is the Wild West right now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows how this is going to work. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Nobody knows the rules. I mean, everybody's at all. I mean, everybody's like vaguely calibrating off of Critical Role, but I'm like, but you can't, because the circumstances that led to Critical Role no longer exist. It's not possible. Right. Quite frankly, the circumstances that the exact path that I followed no longer exists. It's not possible. So the game is constantly reinventing itself all along. And personally, I think that's fantastic. I mean, I live in LA. The reason why I like LA is the full spectrum of human existence is going down in like 10 square miles. Like, people are balling as hard as it is possible to ball on the material plane here. But you know, but by the same token, there's also people who are struggling as hard as you're struggling anywhere. And it's all going down adjacent. And it's like, if you can find your way to hook into it, you can make that happen. Because I come from a place, again, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas. It's not like that in Little Rock. I mean, like, there's people got a couple dollars. Like, Walmart's based out of Arkansas. So I mean, you know, there's some people with cash, but it's not the same thing, like, at all, you know. And so to have access to you know, the talent and the people, and it just, and there's been a few times, I mean, I won't name names, with previous groups that I've been a part of, or organizations, channels, you know, that you just, like, every once in a while you look around the room and you're like, look at the people in this room, and then you're like, and look at how you massively fumbled that. Like, look at who you had, you know, like
We've been there.
This. Yeah, like, look at this lineup. How did you not win the championship? Yeah, that's yeah.
I am very keenly aware of that feeling.
Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what, everything I've seen crash and burn, it always comes down to at its core, always, to just a lack of humility. You know, that you got to realize that at the end of the day, storytelling is a service industry. You know, like, yeah, we're all having fun, but this works when the person on the other side of the camera is having fun with us. Like, you're coming along with us and we're all doing this together.
Right.
When you understand that, it's fine. When you start to treat it like a commodity, or you start to treat the audience like they're expendable, or you treat like it's you crunch all you want, we'll make more type thing. You know, it's like, it doesn't matter if we lose these people, more will tune in. I'm like, this is niche content. This is long form content. You know,
Yeah.
it is a tough mental commitment to say I'm going to sit down and observe 3 hours of something week in and week out.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
and you gotta you have to adjust for that in the way that you do the content. You know, you got to do things like, except most people are mom watching. You know, we're on in the background. Like, I mean, there's people
Yeah.
that stop everything and will put it on the TV at times, but you know, for the most part, you know, people are multitasking while they're engaging in this content. You're playing for that, like stuff like that, you know. So
No,
I told you, my actual discipline is marketing.
Oh, yeah.
That's so true. Again, just coming from like just doing a bunch of these, you can see that there's some people who, again, don't appreciate eating the dirt as much and expect to be Critical Role like that. And that's never gonna be how it works.
No, they expect the instant success that comes with it, but none of the actual hard work or hustle.
Well,
Right.
especially because that instance. Let me tell you something. I believe in a lot of crazy things in this world. You know, there's two things I can tell you for sure do not exist: the self-made person and the overnight success.
Oh, yeah.
Literally everyone has help somewhere along the way, even if it was only your mom diapering your bottom. Somewhere along the way, somebody picked you up and helped you. And that nobody gets there instantly. People think Critical Role came out of nowhere. They were 3 years into their game before they started on Geek and Sundry. So, like, and we're all like skilled working voice actors. Like,
Right.
it's not like they just decided, like they were like packaged together like some 5-part harmony boy band. You know, I mean, they'd already been doing it. Also, I can hear you. I'm just getting some water over here.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. And also, it's something that, you know, my friends reminded me when I was freaking out about a tech issue that I had on one of my shows. Is if you look at the early days of Critical Role, there are tech issues aplenty, and just all the struggling setup that a lot of new shows go through.
It's just growing
And-
pains. It happens.
Yeah, you know, you just gotta. I think the key is being with a group that you want to stick it out with. I think that's the core.
You have to honestly have to be willing to do it for free, because quite frankly, you're going to be doing it for free for a long time.
Yeah.
And now there's also so many options that there's a lot of wonderful content out there, but at the end of the day, there's still only 168 hours in a week. So, but the good news is, are you familiar with the concept known as 1,000 loyal fans?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at the end
It's
of
like-
the day.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Yeah, you need 1,000 people that are going to buy what you're selling. That's it. You have that, you have a career. You know, you know, it takes time to build that up. It takes time to get there. It happens quickly for some people, but I would submit for a lot of people that it happens, it blows up suddenly, the fire goes out suddenly also, versus, you know, because
Exactly.
the flip side to that is, again, in the absence of Geek and Sundry, you can look around and see how many of the people that you used to see there a lot of the time that you don't see anywhere now. That's the difference between the people who could and couldn't hustle and make it happen, you know? So, yeah.
Sure. I mean, you know, that is a good point. There are alumni, let's say, of
Mhm.
Geek and Sundry, who, like, I would never know that they were alumni of Geek and Sundry, because I'm looking at their resume, and they still have so much new stuff that they don't even need to mention all the old stuff that they did because they're just constantly putting out more and more content, and it's and I'll definitely say this for the Geek Century people that I've been blessed to meet. They all have a standard. Like, every Geek Century person that I've played with, they've brought it, and that's pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, man. It's look, I'm very much of the opinion that how you do anything is how you do everything, and like I said, one of the things that I knew I wanted to be known for is I would give it my best every time, Mm-hmm. And of course, obviously some days are better than others, sometimes the moments land better or worse than you intended.
Sometimes they hit flat.
Exactly. But always gonna show up and try, So yeah.
So Anita, we have
this actually dovetails into one of the questions in chat. You spent 1.5 years running constant games on your Patreon.
I did.
What are the most important things that you learned from running those 250 plus games?
It's more like 600. More like 600 games. Yeah.
What? Well, hold on. I'm gonna need the full story on this one.
30 to 40 games a month for 18 months. It's just math. Yeah. It was wild. The first thing I learned is I do not recommend that pace. I was fortunate that again I started running the games, and there was an appetite, and as much as there was an appetite, I just kept increasing to meet the appetite and build the community, and I just looked up and that's what happened. A few things I learned.
Dakatane asked that question and said that I lowballed hard and they were there.
Yeah, no, that's my homie Danny. Shout out to Danny. How you doing, man?
What's up, Danny?
Glad you're here. Danny is a garbage person, and I love him dearly. Yeah, a lot of bold choices. A lot of bold choices from my good friend there. It was really interesting watching the community form, and I think the number one thing I learned from it, especially over such a long form period of time, because there was I was doing 10-ish games a week, and there were some people that would be there for 8 of them, there was people that logged a lot of hours playing with me, which I appreciate. It was an honor to have people make time for those games important to them and a part of their a part of their life and things they want to do. And now it's funny that Danny's here because this is true. We got up to do this at 8 a.m. so I had to get up at 7. And I was thinking to myself that I normally don't get up at 7 on Saturdays. And I literally thought to myself, there was people that were getting up at 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 6 in the morning to play. Danny's one of them because he's overseas because of the time.
Oh my God.
I appreciate that,
Yeah, Danny goes and earned me a shout out in LA by Night.
It did. I mentioned Francis Byrne in LA by Night. I did. I said I had the painting of Victor that is hanging by his desk. His character Francis painted for me, and I did say that. That's true.
Nice.
So I think the number one thing I learned I saw the evolution of their characters over time as the individuals playing them were evolving, if that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
And things they were learning about themselves that was coming to the forefront. Like I saw there was many characters that there's one in particular that Danny knows, who her concept was she was a runner, like she was escaping like an abusive situation and had fled to LA, and that was her thing, that she runs. Like she even said that was her thing, like things get tough, I go.
Mm-hmm.
And over time that character evolved into somebody that became like a pillar of the community and like got married and had her own like place and things in the human playing it processed things in her own mind through that like found something in herself that came out. Because as I said, I saw all these through lines with my characters that was me, that's what I was. I learned things about myself from Chateau and Victor and all these other things that, like, when pushed, I fall back on certain reactions, which, I mean, I'm fine with because for the most part, they're survival reactions. But I learned, I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, okay.
Your survival reaction.
Yeah, I'm like, if you poke here, and here, that's what happens. So, okay. So seeing that come out in the members of the community and see them, I don't want to say become better versions of themselves because that's strong, but I mean, see them become more comfortable in their own skin. Yeah.
Truer versions of themselves.
Yeah, truer versions of themselves, I think is more accurate. Yeah. As far as telling the story of the game, I think is the most important thing as a storyteller is just have an idea of where you're trying to go with the people and with the direction you want the story to go. For the most part, you don't need to like just rigorously prepare because both the dice and the players will betray you, surprise and betray you. And you don't want the story to feel like it's on rails either.
Yeah.
So that actually is one of the questions is, do you prefer player-directed or plot-directed games?
¿Por qué no los dos?
There you go.
I mean, one does not negate the other. A lot of times there is a lot of moving pieces that are taking place, and the characters can lean into it or not lean into it, as is their way. Usually what I do is I just try and set the stage. I'm like, here's what's in front of you. This is the playground. Whether or not you guys want to get on the swings and the merry-go-round or the slide or go get ice cream or wrestle in the grass, that's up to you. I'm here to tell you this is the playground. And I also know there's a beehive in the bathroom. If you go in the bathroom, there's bees in there. If you don't, there's just an ever-increasing number of bees in there until they come pouring out at some point, and then it's everybody's problem.
I think that's the best way to describe DMing. Right?
Yeah.
Danny, or burn the playground down.
It's true. Plenty of playgrounds got burned. Yeah, that is also true. Yeah, it's so even now when I run things, especially it depends if like on what my constraints are. Like if for those games, since I knew we had so much, I would usually have like at least one major idea I was trying to get across every time. And because everything that I was doing, and I would describe it as hurling sticks of dynamite, just like as much crazy shit that would happen that would then echo out to the Discord and all the other things. When I'm doing streams like a Dark and Wish, I know I've got 2 hours, I got 10 episodes. So I plot that more like I plot an episode of television. Like there's actual act breaks that I'm like, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen, this needs to happen. With like a one shot, usually I have a very strong idea of how it starts. Like I always have a very good idea of the beginning of something. And then after that is usually just a couple of points. In the entire third act, I don't even bother trying to plan because by then the dice and the people will have done something that I'm like, oh, okay, I can hook onto that, and now we're going here. I hook onto this, and now we're going there. So,
okay,
yeah.
You let your world react essentially.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that's what Jason always says. He's like, my job is to represent the world of darkness and what it demands, which is true. Then I'm like, you guys can come in here and be murder hobos, like that's fine, but there's going to be an equal and opposite reaction there,
True. People aren't just going to stand around and just continue to let you kill them.
Well, my niche in D&D is level 20. I really like high level play. And
I'm so jealous I never get to play high levels.
No one does. Like fewer than 5% of campaigns have level 20 characters in them. And that's not just characters that like play from 1 to 20 that just have level 20 characters, period. Like nobody does it because most people they think it's like intimidating or something. To tell you the truth, the game is way more lethal at levels 1, 2, and 3 than it is at level 20. Because a goblin with a crit with a battle axe will like murk anybody when you're level 2. Like you just got worked. That's much harder at the high level, but the game becomes less about what can you do, because they can do almost anything, especially with a party, and it becomes more about what should you do. What are the consequences of your actions? Like when I did Theogony at Kairos, which was my first stream, which was a level 20 stream, they were level 0 characters that were chosen by the gods to become level 20. And one of the things I told them up front is I was like, you guys have the power to do anything. You have the ability to destroy kingdoms. If you're like, I'm gonna float in the sky and just drop meteor swarm until everyone's dead, you could do that. You can. But 2 things are going to happen. 3 things, really. 1, once you've destroyed the kingdom, well, now you got a refugee crisis. Where those people are going to go, the ones that like fled, they got allies. Their allies are going to come and like want revenge on the mad wizard that destroyed the kingdom. And 3, if they got 10,000 people shooting arrows at you, statistically speaking, 20% of those are crits, and you're gonna get fucked up. So even if you are level 20, so you might be like, haha, I fear nothing, gag, 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 gag. Get shot down. So be mindful of that. I think when in doubt, if you're having trouble challenging a group, make it more about the consequences of their actions,
And that kind of answers Shinobi's question, because Shinobi had asked, what is your favorite part of running high-level campaigns?
That.
There you go.
The reason why people play these games, the reason why video games will never completely eliminate tabletop play, is in a tabletop game you have so much more impact on the world that you're in than you do in a video game. No matter how open world it is, no matter how clever the AR, there's still rails. When I play a lot of Elder Scrolls Online, and I can roll into town, but I cannot rip the wheel off of that cart and beat the guard to death with it if I feel like it. Like you can't, there's limits. And in a TTRPG, there are none. There's rules, but no limits. And so people play these games to feel like they are at cause in the narrative, that what they do matters, that their actions or inactions have an impact.
Yes.
Right. In the extent to which you're giving them that feeling, you are serving them as storytellers / dungeon master / whatever. In the extent to which you are taking that away from them, you are failing them. So to me, high level play is the essence of that. That I'm like, oh, if my thesis is you're showing up to feel like you're having an impact, well, good news. You can create a whole plane if you want. Like you can do anything, So what's that going to be? Now, let me tell you a specific story about Danny, because he's here.
You get called out today now.
No, it's a happy story. It's a happy story. So at one point, this was in the D&D games. He played both D&D and Vampire with me, and they were in the Shadowfell. And they were there. Well, actually, what my actual game was kind of a mix of like Planescape and Spelljammer-ish. And so the Lady of Pain from Sigil had tasked them to go to talk to the Raven Queen and get something back for the Lady of Pain that the Raven Queen has. And in classic fantasy, tropiness, the Raven Queen is like, sure, I'll give it to you if you help me solve this problem I got with Orcus, because he's over there attacking my kingdom. So they go out and are doing battle with Orcus's hordes and trying to stop him from invading the Shadowfell. And Orcus, being Orcus, is like, hey, why don't you just join me instead, because the Raven Queen is stupid and the Lady of Pain was mean to you anyway, and I'll make you all kings and gods. And his character, Damon, was chaotic evil. And so they're winning the fight against Orcus, and he very much is like, no, join me instead. And Damon's like, oh, okay. and they're all like, what? And he's like, no, I'm with it. Like, I'm gonna take his deal. And like, so they're all afraid because he was pretty powerful too. And he goes over and he's like, yeah, I'm with Orcus now. And I didn't know where I was gonna go with it. So I'm like, he was beaten pretty badly, and they'd killed a bunch of his army. Because again, those meteor swarms add up, you know. And I was like, Orcus puts you on his shoulder and like leaves. He's kind of like, you know, haha, I'll have my revenge, you know, like as he's flying away. And this whole time, I'm like, I don't know where he's going with this, but okay, if he wants to join Orcus, we're gonna roll with this. And I have him leaving, and he's like, so I can, he's like, this will count as a surprise round if I sneak attack him now, right? And I'm like, excuse me? And he's like, yeah, I'm just gonna kill him. And I'm like, roll it. And he rolled like some like god awful amount. Orcus was pretty beat up, and he just like basically cut his head off in midair and just like fell back to the ground. And they were all like, yay, we knew you didn't betray us. And then he told me, he was like, actually, I rolled a die. I didn't know if I betrayed you or not, really. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Fate said I didn't, so there you go. Yeah, but there definitely was a moment there that I was like, oh shit, he joined Orcus. Okay, all right. Recalibrating story, recalibrating. Yeah.
Here's how I know that I would absolutely love to play with you as the GM, because that at one point did you go, well, he can't join Orcus.
Oh, I mean, you can, sure. Yeah.
I've played with GMs that would have been like, well, no, that's not an option.
Yeah.
Why not?
He's asking you to join him, but that's not a real thing that can happen.
Yeah, right. I'm like, but what if it is though? Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's another thing. In that same campaign that he also was a part of, I had them meet Tiamat, and when they met Tiamat, she was in the guise of the Dark Lady, you know, where she just looks like this woman, and they met her, and they were like just really nice to her, because there was a couple of like high intelligence, low wisdom characters that were just like very cheerful, and they were just really nice to her, and so. When the time comes and I reveal that it's Tiamat, because again, you know, there's not a lot of CR30 monsters that can challenge a full party in like open combat. And so, you know, she gets there and she's like, haha, fools, I've been Tiamat this entire time, rah! And they're like, yo, our new friend is Tiamat! Yes! And I had her roll insight on all of them, and I was like, are you lying? And they're like, no, we're dead serious. We're super pumped. We're friends with Tiamat. And so I had her just be like the Dread Pirate Roberts with them, where she was like, I mean, I'll probably kill you tomorrow, but okay. I'm not used to people being nice to me. So Tiamat, she traveled with them for a long time. And she was like the master from Doctor Who. She basically was like the bad angel on their shoulder. Like everywhere they went, she was like, but what if you just killed them all? You know? And they're like, oh, Tiamat. You know? And that was... it evolved naturally. So it's funny because I mean I get that Tiamat is supposed to be the ultimate evil, but like in my heart she's not that at all, because that's just how it worked out in these games. She's just
lonely. She just needed friends.
That's it. And she's like, I mean, I'll probably kill you all eventually, whatever. But I mean, you know, we're hanging out today. That was her position on it. Yeah.
Ultimate player pet achievement.
That's literally what happened. Like I fully expected when I was like, it's Tiamat, they're gonna be like, roll initiative. They really, literally Thor, when he saw the Hulk, yes! That was their reaction. Yeah, to the reaction that the Dark Lady was Tiamat. Yep.
Falcon goes, this is why I love TTRPG fans. You can't make this shit up. I mean, you do, but like you don't expect.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I'm saying. You can't have that in a video game, you know?
You really
like
can't.
In Baldur's Gate 3, if Tiamat shows up, you can't be like roll persuasion to become homies. You know, like
no matter how hard you try,
yeah.
Sephiroth will try and stab you. You can't be found. I've
been trying to sway Sephiroth for about 25 years now. I've been like, hear me out, bro. Hear me out. Come on.
Your theme song is too badass for us to be enemies.
I know. I'm like, come on, you're flying with one wing, dog. Come on, you gotta be friends.
Oh my god.
So two more questions. I think they can sort of be a twofer here. What's a game that you want to play but haven't yet, and what setting in any media that you haven't played but you want to?
So this is weird, and I always say this. Whenever people are like, "What's the thing you've done that you haven't done?" I'm like,
Yeah.
when I want to do a thing, I do it. So I don't know what to tell you.
There you
But
go.
if I had to think of a game I haven't played yet, so another game. Can you can't see it's down below. Oh, hey, I have to show off my cursed wares, my cursed relics, my hand and eye of Vecna. This
Nice.
I love this thing a lot. But Jason had recommended Warhammer Fantasy to me, and he's like, you should get the starter set, it's dope. So I have the starter set of Warhammer Fantasy. Haven't played it, so I guess that's one.
I highly recommend it. Warhammer Fantasy is amazing.
Didn't even know it was a thing, quite frankly, until I did know. I didn't know it was still a thing. Yeah,
it's brutal, but it's amazing.
I've also heard good things about Zweihander. I even met the dude that created Zweihander, and I haven't played it. Heard good things about that.
Yeah, that's another fun one.
Setting. I guess technically this is meta. I helped create the setting for Into the Motherlands and haven't actually played it. I guess I haven't played my own game. That's the thing.
There you go. That's a question
Yeah.
from Sphinx. Was what did you like most about working on Into the Motherlands?
At the risk of being no, fuck it, I'm gonna say what I was thinking. We got to portray black excellence, you know. We got we got to show us behind the scenes and the characters in front of the scenes. In the guiding premise of that book was, even when Tanya hit me up, when Tanya DePass first came to me about working on the project, the only thing she knew is she's like, I definitely want to do sci-fi. I don't want to do fantasy because, you know, we do Rivals of Waterdeep. There's a lot of D&D. I'd rather do science fiction. Besides that, it pretty much was like a blank slate. And one of the first things we hit on is we wanted to do a story without colonialism, of just what people of color look like, you know, untouched by that. And at first we were thinking like the very first idea was like, you know, kind of now in the modern day, like a bunch of black people get on a spaceship and leave. That was the very first thought. And it's like, but we'd be taking some stuff with us if we tried. Like we could do our best. Like we could be as woke as possible, but we're still taking some stuff with us if we do that. Mm-hmm. And we kept just trying to think of like more and more and more, what would that even look like? And that was when I hit on the idea of Mansa Musa in the expedition to the New World, which he was an emperor. He was the richest man in history. He did send a fleet over to the New World, of which what happened to them is unknown. You know, and largely believe that they just didn't make it. I personally, my actual belief is they very much made it. They became the Olmecs. That's why all the Olmec statues look like black folks. But fictitiously, for our story, as they were making their way across the ocean, they were instead transported to this other planet by a mechanism that will be revealed in time. But then we jump 2,000 years after that. Or I guess 3,000 years total. So we wanted to be able to show people of color with their own like cultural roots that go back a long way that still had manifested in a completely different way. And being able to create that and paint that tapestry. And what we've done with everyone who's been a part of it was, you know, what's from the classes to the races on down, it's like, what's something really dope you've always wanted to be able to do? You know, like what's a character you really love from a story? How can we change it? You know, how can we take your specific people and show them in the most positive light possible? Like there's a guy working on the project who is from the Middle East. I don't want to accidentally quote the wrong country, but you know, he Persian of Persian derivation. And one of the things I said is, I'm like, look, man, you know, we'll put a kingdom out there that is Baghdad at its height. because a lot of people don't realize that, you know, it's like the reason why we have culture and science and math is because of Baghdad.
Yeah.
When Europe fell into the Dark Ages, all of that knowledge was maintained in Iraq and stayed there until the Huns came and destroyed it all. You know, Hanging Gardens of Babylon, all that stuff, you know, like they were balling pretty hard over in that part of the world. So I was like, show them that, you know, show them desert dwelling brown people as scientists and scholars and philosophers, and not terrorists and savages, you know, like let's do it, you know. Stuff like that has been the best part about it.
Nice.
So, is there any word on if we'll get a camp? This may have come out already. I may have missed it, but is there any word on if we will be getting a campaign setting for us to run into the Motherland on our like?
Oh yeah, no, that's coming to Kickstarter, y'all. That's coming to Kickstarter soon.
Okay, because that's what I'm looking for.
I have Vampire handy and I have my Cortex book handy. We did base it off of Cortex. It is primed by Cortex. But yeah, it's coming to Kickstarter. It's coming to Kickstarter sooner than you think. Let me put it like that. It's coming to Kickstarter sooner than you think.
Hell yeah.
Also,
There are so many people involved in that project that I absolutely love, and I'm so extraordinarily proud of y'all. You're just like Latia's in there killing it, you know. Gloss is in there killing it. Tanya's in there killing it. Just I'm just excited.
It's been dope. It's been dope. It's it has been a hectic schedule, but it's been a lot of fun, and I'm happy to be a part of it. I just tell people, I'm like, all of this has been so crazy and improbable that it's like, if I woke up tomorrow and it was 2016 and none of the last 4 years had happened for a number of reasons, I'd be like, this all seems legit. Yeah, okay. Like some like random shit happened that I'm like, that can't be real. That I'm like, if it just none of it was, I'd be like, okay, all right. Yeah.
So like I said, I do have a few more questions for you here, especially because you've been so successful in so many different avenues of this space. Oh, no, you know it. so I mean, my question is to you, and how much do you feel is shooting your shot versus being in the right place at the right time?
The harder I work, the luckier I get. I mean, the answer is both. By the way, also, this just caught, even though it's been behind me the whole time, this just like caught my eye that I got my freaking Swarovski crystal D20 in the holiday box. I must say, I didn't know I needed a crystal D20 until I got it. And then
everybody that showed that on Twitter, I was just like, goals one day.
I didn't know. I mean, again, I have let me tell you a side note with the gold plated gun, Victor's gold plated gun, why that is. Erica designed all of our minis for Hero Forge, and she made the gun gold. I think it was just, it wasn't even because it, like, otherwise it still would look like a gun. She just wanted it to pop. She just thought it was neat to make it a gold gun. And I was like, I'm gonna make that shit canon. Like, watch. So that's why his gun is gold, because Erica made his minis, the gun and his mini, gold. That's why. It's the only reason why. Otherwise it just would have just been a gun. So my extraness is directly informed by environmental extraness, you know? It's both. I mean, because people say a lot of it is knowing people, and the reality is a lot of it is knowing people. It is. But people fall back on that as a crutch, and it's not. Because it's not just who knows you, it's why do they know you? What do they know you for?
Yeah.
You know,
and it comes back to your brand. They know you for being reliable, always bringing it, always being on time. And the thing is, if you're running 600 games, you're gonna meet people.
Period. You know,
and if you're doing a show every day, you're gonna meet people.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you the secret. If you want to get to know somebody, if you want to get connected, find ways to make someone else successful. Find ways to help someone else, and it's a thin line to walk, because it's not a predatory thing. Because if you're like, I did this for you and therefore you owe me, that is an asshole move and everyone knows.
Yes.
But dude, like, I'm gonna tell you so I've mentioned this Charity 20 game a couple of times. I did not tell you how I got on that game. Satine Phoenix put out a supplement for D&D. I think it would have been around October or November of 2017. They did an expansion. I think they did Xanathar's Guide to Everything Else, I think, but they just done a part thing. And I went on Ask Your Black Geek Friend and I hyped it. I was like, our sister Satine put out a book. You should go pick it up now. It's available in the DMs Guild. And I clipped it and I sent it to her. And I was like, hey, look, hyping your stuff. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Which is why she was thinking about me. And then she invited me to the Charity 20. If I had said to her, and I did not know Charity 20 was a thing, this is the important part of the story. I was not doing it to get on that show.
You're just trying to help your friend.
Trying to help my friend, trying to help my friend. And humans remember that.
Yeah.
So if when you're trying to be a part of a community or something, signal boost people's stuff, be involved, like just the likes and comments and shares, every social algorithm weights those very heavily, because that's how people get used to you. That's how they know your name. I know multiple people I work with now started out, they were just screen names in chat at one point, and now we're doing like Aki, who's on Dark and Wish with me. That I casted them for that because they were magnificent. They were one of the people in chat at one point, and became a friend over time. Find a way to help someone else. And when you have friends that are coming up also, that are also trying to stream, that are also trying to play games, that are also trying to make content, work together when you can and signal boost each other when you can't, because the rising tide really does lift all boats.
That's also very similar to one of the things that Nora always says is that everybody eats.
Mm-hmm.
We make sure that you make sure that you also keep the door open for the person that's behind you.
Mm-hmm.
So you try to uplift and you try to make sure that people get those opportunities that they need.
Yeah, they pull somebody else up after you. I mean, that's why I did this interview with y'all at an ungodly time on a Saturday morning.
I have to tell you.
By the way, thank you for that. I
shot that shot thinking nothing was going to happen.
Yeah, first of all, it's been my pleasure, but I try to do that. If it works with my schedule, as far as I'm concerned, I'm like, if somebody wants to holler at me, I want to holler at them, and if I help you guys with any signal boost from this, if I said something in chat that is going to make a difference to the people that are here listening live, the people that might hear this as a VOD a year down the road, then it's all worthwhile. I'm just I'm trying to make things easier for the next person than they were for me. So, yeah.
And there's so many people doing that's a reason why I can even have a show. It's essentially because people have lended me the hand to have a platform to say something, and that it's just it's a beautiful thing to start seeing, because I mean, honestly, like you said, the hobby, the space is changing so much that we are trying to figure it out. But there are people that have been a staple of this for a while, like a lot of the Geek Eccentric people, for example, where it's just like, even though things are changing, there are some people that are rock solid in it. So just to have their ear or their credence or their assistance in any way helps. And also, I get to mention D to you, and I know they are probably losing it. So that is my favorite thing about this.
Intro, yo. Represent for us. Yeah, but here's the crazy thing about the industry, though. 10 years ago honestly, maybe as recent as 5 years ago on the short end, definitely 10 years ago, this entire industry, and by industry I mean all of entertainment, was controlled by maybe 40 people, That if you, and I don't mean that in a conspiratorial way, I mean it's just if you didn't get the nod from this director, or if that producer didn't like your demo tape, or that casting agent didn't want you, you weren't going to have a career. It was never going to happen. It's not like that anymore. Now the playing field is not completely level, but as level it has ever been. Life is not fair. Life will never be fair, but life is as fair as it's ever been right now. But the difference now is being heard over the noise. How do you stand out? What makes you different? And again, a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that it's, well, because there's so much competition, I shouldn't try. And I'm like, well, no, that's not true. And people will be like, well, but I can't do what you do. I can't do what Mercer does. I can't do what Brennan does. I can't do what Jasmine Boulard does. And I'm like, no, you can't. You cannot do what I do, like at all. But I can't do what you do. Exactly. And no one can tell your story. No one can sing your song but you. So to me, you have a moral obligation to the human race to put out your art and put out your creativity, because you may or may not ever reach millions of people. Let's be honest, statistically speaking, you won't. But if a story you tell is the difference between a human being that was going to open their vein that night and they didn't because of something they heard you say, you have literally changed the whole world. Exactly. So, yeah, man, turn on your camera and say some stuff. It doesn't
hurt to try, and that's the thing.
Yeah, yes. And enjoy the process.
Sphinx in chat said that no one can do you better than you can.
Also, that doubles as both a delightful motivational anecdote and masturbation joke.
And I think that's the perfect segue to get into.
We have a masturbation section.
Yeah, that goes behind the paywall.
TOS.
That goes behind the paywall. Yeah. No, you gotta get it. We gotta swap some credit card numbers before you see any of that. No feet, no nipples. Section. Yeah, no feet, no nipples. That's the Twitch's two. I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome.
But we've had a lot of positivity going on this morning, a lot of kumbaya. So let's get into a little bit of the negativity. Let's talk about that guy. If you've been at a TTRPG table, chances are you've experienced a black hole of fun at the table. Somebody whose removal from the table would increase your enjoyment of the experience tenfold. So this is where we would have you tell that story. And if you would like to see the bar set, we could tell you about one or two from previous guests.
I want to hear after mine, because I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to feel bad about mine.
Okay, go for it.
I don't have that many that guy stories as you might think, because I tend to clown that guy right then. but I will tell you, I had there was a DM that I played with for a short time that was running Pathfinder, and he was absolutely that guy. Remember that you were like, oh, you can't really join Orcus. He's super that dude. And we were playing, and everything was on rails, and it was like if you weren't supposed to go through a door, it's like, well, I try and open the door. Well, you can't open it. Well, I try and pick the lock. Well, you can't pick the lock. I try and kick it in. Well, you can't kick it in. I'm spending the rest of the day going through that fucking door. I'm just going to now. You know what I mean? Like, fireball the door, burn the building down. Like, I'm going through the door, you know? Versus just, there's 1,000 ways to be like, oh, well, it doesn't seem to be anything in there, you know, or it looks locked, but it's got a very unusual keyhole. You think you'd know the key if you saw it. You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of ways to gently guide the group in a different direction if you care that much, or let them roll. Who knows? They might get a 20 on their sleight of hand and pick the lock, and then whatever happens. Yeah. So we were playing, it was Skull and Shackle, which is the pirate adventure for Pathfinder, and you're on this city that is like all these ships that are lashed together, and that's where they are. And we had to meet the big bad guy that was in there. We needed an audience with the mob boss or whoever he was. And I remember by now I was already irritated with this dude's style. And my character I was playing was an Inquisitor. I was basically playing Rorschach. Like, she was just like, there's good and there's evil. That's it, and evil must be punished. Period. Like, zero nuance in this.
Ain't
in this
no
character.
gray area.
Zero. Like, yeah, you stole the bread because you were starving, but you stole the bread, so you're gonna get it. You know, that was that character. And I went up to the bartender and I was like, take me to the dude or I'm going to kill you. And he's like, what? And I pulled out my sword and I put it on the bar and I'm like, take me to the guy or I'm going to kill you. And the bartender's like, well, but you see, I have all these guards in here. And I'm like, question you got to ask yourself is, can they get to me before I get to you? I'm going to count to 3 and then I'm going to kill you. 1. And he's like, no, you can't do that. I'm like, 2. And I was like, literally picking up my dice. And he's like, okay. I was gonna do it. I was gonna smite the hell out of that guy, and if the guards came, the guards were gonna come. Like, but it's just it's he would everything was on rails, and you had to do it the way that he saw it happening, or it wasn't going to happen, and that sucks, you know. And again, there's ways to provide the illusion of choice at times, where there's been plenty of times that I'm like, I know the next room has a dragon in it. You can go left, you can go right. There's a dragon in that room. And if you split up and you go left and right, there's gonna be 2 dragons in 2 rooms, you know, like that's what's next. So there's ways that you can kind of camouflage that a bit better. Yeah, that's the number one thing that pops into my mind with that guy. The other thing is, it happens more actually on Twitter, where I get a lot of unsolicited advice. Like I blew this dude up on a Twitter thread where he was like wanting to like teach me about the real lessons of colonialism and how we weren't doing it right in motherlands. And they revealed in like the first couple of lines they hadn't actually seen the show. And I was like, oh, okay, we're going to church. Pull up a seat, y'all. Let's do this. Yeah. So
I saw all of Twitter getting that dude's ass that day.
Yo, I'm like, he's lucky I left his name out. Although some people figured it out because I did leave the bio in, and they were like, "Who's this motherfucker?" And I'm like, I know.
I saw Cypher come off the top ropes.
Look, man, hey, you know, I'm like, okay. Oh my God, you killed him. God is my witness. He is broken in half. Yeah.
Straight through a table.
Oh my God, it's a lot of tea.
We definitely put that guy through a table. We definitely put that guy through. They full hell in the cell.
In all fairness, though, the absolute okay. Let's just get into it. As a Black creator, I feel like that happens all the time, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
If you make something, there's always somebody looking to humble you about it. I think that's and I feel like the more renowned you are in the space, the more it happens to you. And like you are like one of the pinnacle Black creators in this space. So I can only imagine how every fucking tweet that you put out is like questioned or
it is, believe it or not, it is much worse for women. Like Black women have it the worst, but like
there's
women
like a Venn diagram of horribleness where it's like Black, queer, and femme.
Yeah. And then you get the bullseyes. But yeah, because I mean, I see how much like sass Marisha gets. Like she hasn't been at this for a minute now, you know. Like I'm like she's played this game once or twice. You guys do know that, right? Yeah, man. It's just. But I mean, I think they learn. Oh, they find out. I'm not the one for it though. Like some of my friends. Here's the thing. Some of my friends, like Tanya, was like, I don't want to be seen punching down. And I'm from the Bernie Mac school of thought. If you're old enough to talk back, you're old enough to get fucked up.
Some of my bitch.
yeah. If you can take the time to include me in a sentiment, I got the time to include you in a sentiment. You know, so. Yeah, because that happened to me on Reddit with Pirates of Leviathan. I don't usually do much on Reddit, and I won't be doing much more on Reddit. But that particular, you know, the Dimension 20, like they just have a very powerful presence on Reddit, and so I'd go over there, and you know, people would see. Here's the thing: when it's just something that is purely aesthetic, like I don't like that character choice, or I don't, I didn't care for this, like that. I don't mind, because it is in fact better to be disliked than lukewarm, because if people like really don't like you, then you're still doing something, like you're still making powerful choices. Like the Bible says, you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, and I spit you out, So just having somebody not like what I do, that's okay. But it's if they start saying things that are factually inaccurate, that's when I have a problem with it. When they're like, you didn't do this thing right. I'm like, actually, I did. Here's the page number. Also, keep my name out your mouth. Yeah, that's.
I mean, you're a better person than me, because my response is, so the fuck what? Like, if you got a problem with how I did this, then you get on this show.
Yeah, do it better at your table. Yeah, do it better at your table. Yeah. That's
I mean,
no, please.
I was just gonna say, like, there's a lot of the questioning of Black creators, or, for example, I would post ideas for shows that I was gonna do, and without fail, there would be somebody that's just like, oh yeah, I had that idea.
Let's collaborate.
We should collaborate. I'm like,
or we
I've already gone through the motions of making this a real thing. Like,
yep.
What do I need to collaborate for?
Yeah, I don't need any help. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Because they want to do 1% of the work and take 100% of the credit.
Yep. I
Your name on it.
So some of my friends get really upset about performative allyship and stuff, like the way that like all of our followings like skyrocketed in June mysteriously. I don't mind about that. I'm like, look, just it's been a few months. Black lives still matter. I promise you. We're still here. Still get killed. And if you had your like massive upsurge in wokeness a few months ago, and people's bios are starting to go back to normal and all that stuff, it's just like, just don't lose track of the cause, because we don't have the luxury of losing track of it. Still support people. Still vote with your wallet. Like I said, signal boosting something is free, and it really does matter. The algorithm really does reward. Like if you like, comment, share. People say that and it becomes so cliche, but it really truly does matter.
Mm-hmm.
So just show your actions.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to look very far to see that that shit ain't as sweet as people might think it is after June. I mean, just looking at what CB had to go through this past week, it's just like, that's where we are,
Yep.
So
that's the truth. I'm not kidding. I know one of my shows rolls to front page because the ethnic slurs start piling up. Yeah. That's how I'm like, must be on the front page. Yeah. There you go. Mm-hmm.
I was blessed to be on the front page one time. It was during Real 20Con. I was in the Black. Oh my God, Brightburn. So sorry, James. And yeah, my messages got wild.
That's how you know.
They got wild. I was like, oh shit.
Most of that stuff usually doesn't offend me. I'm far more likely to laugh at a racist for being pathetic than get angry, usually.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you have to be pretty sad and small to be sitting at your house and just see a certain kind of person come up on the screen, and through your haze of Cheeto dust and Mountain Dew, you're like, I'm like, don't you have something else to do? Like, I mean, pick a hobby. Take up a sport.
They swung at me pretty hard, but the only thing that they said that hurt my feelings was that I had lit in my beard and I didn't see it. That's the thing that sticks with me to this day. I'm like, shit, they got me. Isn't
that the worst when they're right? You're like,
I know, right? Like, you sons of bitches.
My one weakness, my face. Yeah. Well, do we have any other questions? I know we're running up on time. I want to make sure I got to everybody.
We are running out on time.
So The only questions was, I think we already answered this one as one creating a character. Do you prefer to create one that's similar to yourself or distinctly different from you?
Victor is me. If I turned into a vampire tonight, I'd be that dude in 15 years. Beyond that, now again, I'm lucky to have played enough of this that it's more what haven't I done. Which is very much is like what's just a clan I haven't played, or a D&D class, or a subclass, more likely a subclass that I haven't done. Is like more just what have I not done before now, to keep trying to make them uniquely distinct.
If you're a guest about Critical Role, what character would you be?
I mean, to tell you the truth, pending the context, I'd probably bring Freely, because my lucky boy has been everywhere else, so it makes sense. He's even been to Wildmount already. So, other than that, just literally whatever the circumstances required. Yeah, whatever the circumstances required.
And here's my last. Go ahead.
No, go for it.
No, I don't mind. If there's more, I'll give them to you.
The only question that was left was who stole the cookie? Who do you think stole the cookie from the cookie jar?
I love our audience.
I don't know.
I think snitches get stitches.
There you go. There you go. So here is my question. What like I'm gonna have you Babe Ruth it. Like, what do you think is your next home run in the next 10 years? Like, if you could just shape the world. Yeah. However you want it. What's the big home run?
No, 10 years. No, you can't imagine the things I intend to have done in 10 years.
Okay.
No, I'll give it to you. Yeah, in the next 1 or 2. Well, I worked really hard to get my own dedicated studio space. That's what this is. I have my place where I can do my thing. So this year, I have to finish the documentary, Dear America from a Black Guy. I think.
And congratulations on that Kickstarter. That was.
Thank you.
Shit.
That if I do it right, has the potential to open a lot of doors. You know, and I really see whatever doors that opens and going further down that path being the thing that is going to make the biggest change and the most impact in the next year or two. In 2021, I'm definitely focused on doing more of my own content. I've been a part of other people's stuff for years now, from Geek and Sundry on down, so trying to do more of my own. Got a couple of unannounced projects right now that I can't say just yet. India, you know what? I'll give you an announcement. We got an exclusive. You got an exclusive. It's a small thing, but it is a thing. I am the D&D creative consultant on the Critical Role animated series, the Legends of Exandria. So when they have any questions about the game and the lore and all that stuff, I'm the dude for that. So yeah, that's the thing. That's one thing that's happening. Yeah.
Holy heck! So we might be seeing you guesting on Critical Role sooner than we think.
You know what? They're friends. They got their show they're making. I'm like, that's all right.
But I think the thing that I'm most excited about in hearing that is I want to see what content you make. Like, I'm seeing you as more of a studio head now, and I want to see what you greenlight. And I think we need that. I think we really do need that.
That is the direction I am headed in. But let me just say this, because again, I know we're running over, and I kind of alluded to this before. Just again, y'all, whatever you're thinking about doing, do it. You know, if you're thinking about writing that story, drawing, making that art, making that stream, writing that book, that scream, do it. I'm telling you, like, time waits for no one. It doesn't matter how old you are. I guarantee you, I'm almost certainly older than you are. And you know, there's a saying in jiu-jitsu that the best time to start jiu-jitsu was 10 years ago. The second best time to start is today. So shoot your shot, man, and enjoy it. And like I said, don't even think about it as something that it has to be something that thousands and thousands and millions of people love. Even if it's something that really just means the world to a handful of people, you still will have made the world a better place. So yes, create your art. And my DMs are open. Like I said, don't come with any silliness. I will embarrass you. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter at BDaveWalters. You can ask me anything. I'll help you.
Hell yeah. And I will be sending pitch after pitch now that I know you.
Dude.
Like, what's up? Here's an idea I had.
Mm-hmm. I'm come back and be like, I had that idea. That's fantastic. I thought of that exact same thing, Noir.
It's
Yeah.
we'll collaborate.
You want to collaborate?
I will stop, collaborate, and listen. Yep.
All right, so I think we need to do an outro because I think that's also on our bingo card.
Yeah, that's actually the perfect segue to say we are ready to.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the thing is, Nick or Pyramid in chat said thanks from the audience and thank you for partnering with Noir.
Yeah, we totally planned this.
Yeah, exactly. we
True. New uniforms.
I was 100% planning on going to the room and getting mine, but then I was like, nah, I'll be okay.
Had to be.
I'll go with my Simpsons reference. Don't ask me. I'm just a girl.
Yep. It's I appreciate it. Yes, definitely.
But yeah.
It's in here.
Outros starting with B. Dave Walters. Who are you?
Oh, I thought I just gave it. Oh yeah, but like B. Dave Walters, say words about things. I was somewhere 7 days a week. Now I'm somewhere like 5-ish days a week. I don't expect you to try and keep track of it all. Just follow me at B. Dave Walters. We had Changeling Dreaming Across New York started last night. Mondays, Champions of Lore. Tuesday, Silver and Steel. Thursday in the morning is Ascension, and Thursday night is Dungeons and Dragons: A Dark Wish. So there you go. And all sorts of delightful things all over the interwebs.
Nice.
That's a professional outro right there. I don't know how we're supposed to follow that, but
I've done it a couple times.
Go for it.
Hello, everybody. I'm Noir. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube as the Noir Enigma. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram as Noir Enigma. Saturdays, you can find me right here, Critical Misses for Morning Ritual. Our next guest is going to be Abria, so that'll be fun.
Hey, that means she got to get up early too, because we're in the same time zone.
Yep.
Oh, I should probably say I'm gonna be with Abria later tonight. We're doing True Dungeon. I think that's streaming somewhere. I don't know.
Wait, True Dungeon?
Yeah, nice. they've adopted a virtual version of it, and apparently we're doing that tonight.
Streaming somewhere?
I mean, I guess. You think I was? That's my life, y'all. I'm telling you. People are just like, hey, will you do a thing? I'm like, well, yeah. So maybe keep an eye on our Twitters that like we might say at some point today that there's a link where you can watch us do it. I'm like, or not. I don't know.
Well, tell Abria nothing but good things about your experiences here, even if you gotta lie. You can on Sundays you can find me over on Action Fiction where we're doing Vampire the Masquerade. You can also find me on Sundays on Cobalt Press's channel where I am GMing their Southlands Kickstarter campaign Into the Southlands with the lovely Anita here. On Mondays, nothing. On Tuesdays, you can find me over on LFM Network, where I play Call of Cthulhu with the lovely puppets from Perception Studios. So that's a fun time. It's as weird as you think. Also on Tuesday evenings, you can find me here on Critical Misses, where I GM Magpie's mass game, Second City Saviors. On Wednesdays, you can find me over on TPK Roleplay, where I am in their Curse of Strahd game. On Thursdays, you can find me on Black Cat Gaming, where we're doing Hex Protocol, the spy game, with the creator of Spy Games, Sam Webby. And on Fridays, you can catch me over on Chromatic Chimera, where I play Zyhander, Bloody Portrait. So that is me.
Hi, I'm Anita. You can find me here most times. I'm here on Tuesdays for Second City Saviors, Wednesdays for Under the Pale Cold Sun or Vampire the Masquerade 5e Chronicle. You can find me behind the scenes running tech or in chat on Thursdays and Fridays, where we have our Sentai Cipher System game, Upon These Crystals Guardians ready. And Fridays we have our Zyhander Dark Fae Fantasy Bullshit game, that is Beyond the Twilight Road. Saturdays you can find me here And on Sundays, now you can also find me over on Kobold Press's channel for the game that Nora just said, Into the Southlands. So I will be everywhere. You can follow me at Panita or at Critical Misses to find out where you can find me. But yeah, it's been a blast. Thank you so much for agreeing and hanging out and just like chatting and ranting. This is this is my favorite day of the week, is Saturday for Morning Ritual. But yeah,
definitely feel like I learned a lot. This is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you all for having me, and I'm glad I was on before Bria because there's no way to follow her, so it's good. Also, D, do not embarrass me. Okay.
D, you heard it here first.
Okay.
We'll tell them to do their level best. But yeah, until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves, and for now, the ritual has concluded. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.